Welcome, dear listeners. I'm Jonathan Carlin.
And I'm Benjamin Carlin.
And we invite you to join us through the Griffin door, your one-way ticket to the enchanting world of Harry Potter. So grab your wands and dust off your broomsticks and join us as we unlock the dark corridors inside Order of the Phoenix, Chapter 22, St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries. The chapter we've all been waiting for.
I seriously debated on skipping it entirely. I was like, just for the lols, we could just let it go. But I've got to say that, like, as much as we chalk this chapter up to being so irritating from a trivia standpoint, it holds true. Like, there were so many times that I was going through the chapter and I was like, oh, that's a good trivia question.
Yep. Yes.
That's a good trivia question.
Like, there is trivia abound in here.
It had to be such a difficult chapter to just like mentally concoct unnecessarily named proper nouns for the sake of giving it more flavor.
Just like, hey, guess what? I got to build a whole new building and atmosphere, and like, I'm going to work in a bunch of like silly like hospital stereotypes and a bunch of silly wizarding things that would be on the walls at a hospital, and like just like the ability to very quickly build an entire building and fill it with like what feels like normal, regular things you'd expect in the wizarding world. It's like, well done. But it's like there is a lot of trivia.
There is so much. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun one to like go through. This one also took me a particularly long time to mark up. I felt like I was sitting with this chapter for quite a while, and my pages are positively bleeding. Green ink, which is the color of the highlighter that I'm currently using.
Nice. Well, like a lot, because we don't even start at the hospital. Like, you start still back in the dormitory from the last chapter where Harry's waking up from the dream where he's attacked Mr. Weasley, apparently, as the giant snake.
Yes.
Then we go to Dumbledore's office. Then we go to Grimmauld Place. And then finally we make our way to St. Mungo's.
Right. I know. Yes. And I feel like in last week's chapter, there was almost like oh, okay. So this involves the dream, but we don't really have like any of like the fallout.
Right.
So you could probably make a measure of argument that would suggest that we could have included the first like 3 pages of this chapter in the last chapter without it being like too offensive to the read through. But
cliffhangers, man.
Cliffhangers. I know. We're going to speak to the headmaster.
Right.
And that's like one of those things that probably, especially on your first read through, because that's the last thing that we heard from McGonagall, is she's saying, I believe you, Potter. Put on your dressing gown. We're going to see the headmaster.
Right.
So if you've been going through this book on your first read, you're sort of like, where is Dumbledore? Why are we not getting Dumbledore? Why is he not talking to Harry? And so this is like, we're in halfway territory-ish of the book. And so it's like you were probably like, thank goodness the action's about to begin.
Right.
And it kind of is. Yeah.
Oh man, it's fun watching Dumbledore in this chapter.
It is. We get to see Dumbledore sort of like being the extraordinary wizard that he is in a very mysterious capacity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is kind of fun, which actually brings us to the chapter art, speaking of mysterious, because we have sort of this like little, I'm going to call it like almost like a teapot / really small Dutch oven looking contraption.
I mean, it's one of Dumbledore's whirring silver instruments that's always emitting puffs of smoke.
Right.
And it's showing us in the chapter art 2 snakes made of smoke intertwining in midair, and yet in essence divided. The connection I could have made.
Naturally.
Yes. Yeah. I know. This little silver instrument to me is one of the most frustrating things in the entire book because it goes completely unexplained.
Well, I mean, it goes unexplained in terms of like how it works, or like what is going on. But it does seem like a highly powerful magical artifact that I would have loved a name and prop replica, for
all
and
of those things.
Yeah, because the whirring little silver instruments, like there's, we get reference to them almost every time we ever go into Dumbledore's office.
Right.
It's like a prominent characteristic of the office, and it has flavor of Deluminator, which is like a magical creation of Dumbledore's own invention.
Little silver instrument.
It's got sort of like a dark detector, Mad-Eye Moody type situation, faux glass.
Right. It kind of feels like it might fall into that category. Like has a little bit of divination about it, perhaps.
Yes. I literally wrote that exact like piece of text down. I was like, is this like divination made solid somehow?
Something like that, possibly. And it's like, did Dumbledore make these? Are they just like tools accessible to the headmaster?
Right.
Are they from someone else, you know?
I mean, all good questions, because like there's a part of me that almost wonders like if Dumbledore is this like magical inventor / tinkerer individual, or could this have something to do with like, you know, the work that he was doing with like Nicholas Flamel, which is, you know, another one of those things where it's like, we know that Nicholas Flamel's most notable achievement is the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, but he had to do that 500 years before Dumbledore was
even alive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, clearly it's not the Philosopher's Stone that they collaborated on. So could it be these items?
Right.
And like, even like, think about the Elder Wand in this exact same, you know, breath, because that's another object where it's like he, like the way that he claims his relationship with the Elder Wand to go is like, I was allowed to like own it, to tame it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So like, is there a great power, great responsibility type situation where it's like Dumbledore himself is the one uniquely capable of like creating these trinkets, and like doing everything. I'm like losing my train of thought halfway through my thought here, but like capable of creating these trinkets, but not selling them to the greater wizarding world, a la what we see with like Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, where like I think Fred and George end up selling like Peruvian instant darkness powder to like the Death Eaters, who end up using it during like the Battle of the Lightning Struck Tower,
right?
You know, or the Battle of the Astronomy Tower, or whatever we call it. You see what I mean? Like it's Fred and George are making these things, and they have them on the shelves. Maybe Dumbledore is inventing these objects that are immensely powerful, but like they're just for him,
right?
You know, because like. I mean, now my mind's like spinning, but it reminds me of like the whole debate between Captain America and Iron Man with the Sokovia Accords.
Right. It's like, well, like they shouldn't exist, but like as long as Dumbledore's the only one using them.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So it's like, you know, but largely, you know, you don't want the power. You don't want superheroes unchecked. But if Cap is the one in charge, you feel comfortable because it's Cap.
It's Cap.
Right, you know, but if it's anyone else, no.
Probably not.
Then Iron Man's right.
Right. Yes. Except Cap's in the room, so you know there it is.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get more into the little whirring silver instrument as we arrive at it in the text. But otherwise, let's jump into our first sentence, shall we?
Let's do it indeed.
All right. It's Harry was so relieved that she was taking him seriously that he did not hesitate, but jumped out of his bed at once, pulled on his dressing gown, and pushed his glasses back onto his nose. And then the dragons arrived.
Oh boy, not when you want them to.
No, I know. I mean, you're like, wow, we're going to the headmaster's office. More like you were.
Now we're all just little smoking piles of sizzle.
Yeah, smoking piles of sizzle. You're dead.
Oh, man. Weasley, you ought to come too, said Professor McGonagall. You always do a better McGonagall than me.
Oh, Weasley, you ought to come too.
That was better.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You got the Scottishness down. Let's see. All of our Scottish listeners are like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Let's not go too far. We're doing our best.
It's always the Weasleys, isn't it?
What do you mean?
It's just like, Ginny, Chamber of Secrets. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You know what? Better come too.
Right. Yep. Yes, I know. There's that definite air of this family is almost like cursed.
Actually, this harkens right back to Chamber of Secrets as well. Not even Ginny, though, when Hermione gets attacked by the basilisk. And they're like going up to the school and she's like, Potter, come with me. And she's like, yes, Weasley, you better come too.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
McGonagall's like, if I have to say this sentence one more time, like 2 nickels, am I right?
I know, right? And here we are, 2 nickel McGonagall.
That's right. The new nickname. Let's see here. Harry felt as though the panic inside of him might spill over at any moment. He wanted to run. He yelled for Dumbledore. So this is sort of like what Harry's going to be dealing with for the first couple pages here, is just like he is coming out of the like, okay, Arthur is seriously injured and every second spent doing anything other than sending help is another second closer to Arthur not making it.
Right.
And so he is like living in the absolute urgency of the situation that like it's you can see where it would be so difficult for anybody who could help to get up to speed without an explanation. So there's a lot of trust that's going to be involved here in terms of like the severity of the situation, or even like as Molly will later say, that Dumbledore was kind of expecting something like this to possibly happen.
Right. And it seems like McGonagall probably knows that. She's just like, this is the thing.
This is the thing he's been worried about.
Yeah.
And we know that to be factually true because that's sort of where we come off that cliffhanger from last chapter is Dumbledore has decidedly not spoken to Harry for the whole year. He won't look him in the eyes. Like, even when he's intervening, at the trial, he's not going to like look directly at him or anything. So all of that is because Dumbledore's basically been waiting to see if Voldemort realizes the shared connection.
Right.
And this connection is unintentional.
Yes, this is unintentional. This is like, he's so focused on the door as usual. And I guess he's, I don't know, is he controlled? Do you think Voldemort is controlling Nagini here?
Yeah, it has to be.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, we've supposed before that the significant relationship between Nagini and Voldemort isn't so much that this is another living soul that Voldemort can like resonate with in the form of like a giant snake. And it's like, oh, because it's a snake, like that's somebody who he could like actually love, because we know that Nagini is formerly a living, breathing human being.
Right.
And probably like a rather neutral to positively aligned individual, I would say.
At least in Crimes of Grindelwald.
At least in Crimes of Grindelwald, the last time that we would have seen her. I mean, she would be like a victim of a greater persecution by way of the Circus Arcana.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Circus Arcana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arcanus, maybe?
That was my question.
Circus
okay.
Arcanus, yeah.
One of those. So the theory that we've supposed before is that basically Nagini's soul exited the vessel or was like almost pushed out when Voldemort places the piece of his soul inside.
Right. Maybe she got like Dementored, got Dementor kissed or something.
Oh, like just like an empty vessel.
An empty vessel.
That would be a really bizarre
right
thought to think. Yeah. that Dementor is on duty. Like, no, I have to kiss a snake.
Well, I mean, he could have kissed her while she was still human.
I guess that's
and
true.
Then she could have transformed into snake.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Suppose.
Yeah. Like a long time ago.
A long time ago.
And then just like basically like a snake.
Just sort of like wandering aimlessly through Albania as one does.
Classic Danger Noodles.
Classic Danger Noodles down there.
Anyway, let's see here. So Harry tried hard not to think my fangs. And obviously this is where he's like really, really, really concerned that he was the one in charge of the snake. And he's not. He's just seeing the glimpse through effectively Voldemort's control of Nagini.
Yeah. But that's definitely what he is mostly concerned with here. And I highlighted where it says Mr. Weasley was bleeding, and so they walk along so sedately. You can tell Harry's just like, can we run?
Right.
Can we go?
We got to go faster. Yeah.
They also run into Mrs. Norris. It says she turned her lamp lights on them and hissed faintly. And it's like, McGonagall's there. So what are you hissing at? But to me, it's probably Mrs. Norris who tells Filch, who tells Umbridge, who is how she knows they're all out of bed.
Yes, I think that's definitely what's going on here, because I think you're going to see how quickly Filch will align under Umbridge's regime once that sort of like comes to pass.
Right.
But before that happens, obviously, we're going to make it to the stone gargoyles guarding the entrance to Dumbledore's office, where the password this time is going to be Fizzing Whizbee.
Yes.
A little bit of trivia there for you.
Springs to life, and we get to go through the highly polished oak door with the brass door knocker shaped like a griffin, a.k.a. the Griffin door.
The Griffin door.
Oh, we're going right through it. That's a good name for a podcast.
I know. I love that. I love that. Yeah. I literally wrote, it's us, the Griffin door. Love that we got a little cameo there. Like 20 years later.
Yeah. And then it's at like it sounds like Dumbledore's in there talking to like at least a dozen people. It says, of course, this is actually the portraits on the walls who are all about to immediately be like, what? Pretend to be asleep.
We're so good at this.
Yeah. Right. Very good. So she knocks on the door and comes in, and she's like, oh, it's you, Professor McGonagall. Don't know who I was expecting in this hour of the night. Of course, I'm still awake. Don't need to wake me up. But it's, in half darkness. The strange silver instruments standing on the tables, the spindly tables, as they're always described, are all silent and still rather than whirring and emitting puffs of smoke as they usually did, but not for long.
I mean, there's a couple of things here that I think are interesting. Is that the first is that the door opens of its own accord, and Professor McGonagall led Harry and Ron inside. And this feels in contrast to every other occasion when we've entered Dumbledore's office where Dumbledore will say, enter. And I believe that even when Armando Dippet is in this office, he also says enter.
Oh, so is that like almost like a command to the door?
Almost like it's a command to the door, but this makes me wonder if this is like almost similar to the way that the headmaster's office will like seal itself against Umbridge.
Right.
Where like even it's you, Professor McGonagall, because we know that the headmaster's office will seal itself against
right.
Like someone that it doesn't seem worthy of being in there.
Right.
This makes me wonder if there's like a sentience of the space where it's almost like
like of the door opened of its own accord.
The door opened up. Yeah. So it's like, this is a situation where it's like, no time for formalities, no time. Like this,
like the door can read the situation a little bit.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's telling Dumbledore, it's like, no, you need to let them in right now. Like, because Dumbledore theoretically could feign not being awake. He could just not, so if he believed it to be Umbridge or just simply was Umbridge, he could just simply not answer the door. And at midnight, nobody could be like, why didn't you answer your door?
Right. Be like, there's someone there.
So this is a way to sort of be like, no, gotta let him in. But I also think it's interesting that the silver instruments sitting on the table were silent rather than whirring and emitting puffs of smoke as they usually did. That may also be a situation where it's like, if these are in any way, shape, or form acting as like dark detectors or like warnings to the headmaster about like what might be coming up, it may mean that like the person entering the door is of zero threat. Like,
oh, well, yeah, that's true.
Because otherwise
they're like dark detectors, yeah.
Right.
But they're usually worrying when Harry goes in there.
Well, they are. And I guess it's like when it comes to Harry, it may be like that there's more of like a study going on. Like it's more of like, it's less to do with Harry himself, but more to do with all the circumstances surrounding Harry.
Yeah, like how did Sirius Black get in the castle? What is petrifying all of the students?
Right. Yes, exactly. So anyway, I don't know. I thought both of those things seemed atypical to the usual experience of entering the headmaster's office. Like two things distinctly feel out of place.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then also just of note, it says he was wearing magnificently embroidered purple and gold dressing gown. This is basically how I always imagined Dumbledore's dressed, in purple and gold.
I know. Yeah, you're right. Like this is almost like take like the classic illustration of like a quirky, long bearded wizard. And it's like, yep, there it is. The long purple robes with gold stars all over.
Right.
It.
But it's also, he's wearing a snowy white nightshirt. So it's like he is in his sleeping stuff, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. You know what's funny is the description snowy white makes me think like fluffy, but like also it's like it probably is not fluffy. It's probably just a shirt.
Probably just a shirt. Yeah. I feel like I don't know. The whiteness of the shirt is definitely like, I feel like supposed to be like the good guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Dressing here.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, his name is also Albus, which means
white.
Yeah. So there's got that going for it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then McGonagall's like, Professor, Dumbledore Potter's had a nightmare. And like, oh yeah, I'm a little, I guess one of the students had a dream.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then Harry responds, "It wasn't a nightmare," said Harry quickly, to which I wrote in like, clear that up right away.
Clear that right up. Yeah.
And then McGonagall's like, very well then, Potter, you tell the headmaster about it.
And then he's like, well, I was asleep and I had a bad vision in my sleep. It was scary.
Right. To which I wrote, oh boy, it does sound like a nightmare, doesn't it?
It kind of does. His desperation to make Dumbledore understand. He felt slightly irritated that the headmaster was not looking at him, but examining his own interlocked fingers. I mean, how rude.
I know. Yes. But it wasn't an ordinary dream. It was real. I saw it happen. He took a deep breath. Ron's dad, Mr. Weasley, has been attacked by a giant snake.
Boom. And then Dumbledore is sort of like, oh, okay, now you've said something.
Right. Yes. And but he does lean back meditatively, it says, looking up at the ceiling. Ron's looking from Harry to Dumbledore, white-faced and shocked. So you can only imagine Ron here is just completely helpless because he's like, my best friend typically has got like a pretty good finger on the pulse of like, what the heck's going on?
Right.
But also like now we're talking to Dumbledore, who like even more knows what's going on. But the whole thing sounds scary. My dad's involved.
Like, so did this happen or not?
Right. Yeah. Someone tell me.
Right.
I'm surprised Ron doesn't yell at some point during the scene. He actually like maintains kind of like a course of calm.
He kind of does, which is going to be unlike Fred and George.
Yes, who are very like actionable about it. But then Dumbledore's first response is going to be, how did you see this?
Yeah, this is like Dumbledore is like, this is the tell that he's been like waiting for it to happen.
Right.
He is like, okay, let me just double check. Because if it's what I'm afraid of, Harry saw it from the point of view of the snake.
Exactly. Right. Yes. But, then of course, Harry's sort of like left with a rather confusing response of like, well, I don't know, inside my head, I suppose, how does anybody see dreams? Like, this is not the time for that kind of discussion, Dumbledore.
Right, I know, yeah. How do dreams work? Where do you see them? Do you have like a little projector in there? I don't know.
What is the point of dreams anyway?
Yeah.
Do they help us process the day's trauma? That's what I tend to think.
Yeah, right.
Probably.
So
it's,
like, here you go.
All right, yeah. But anyway, anyway, Dumbledore says, "You misunderstand me. I mean, can you remember where you were positioned as you watched this attack happen? Were you perhaps standing beside the victim or else looking down on the scene from above?" Which is like one of those things where it's like Dumbledore really sliced through a lot of the chaos. Like, and I think the good thing here is that he doesn't seem to be doubting, like he's got enough to go on. Arthur, like, cause he knows that Arthur's positioned and that Voldemort has a snake.
Right.
So like, he's already put the pieces together. So it's like, where were you? Let's start there. Yeah.
Let's start there, because the other thing is that Harry came to Dumbledore in last year with a very similar situation where he was where the owl was being sent to Dumbledore or to Voldemort to let him know that Barty Crouch Sr. had been killed, that the mistake had been corrected.
Right.
And this is like actually a little bit different than that. So in that situation, Harry was just sort of like getting a like third person view of the situation in the room. And this time he's seeing it like through the eyes of the snake. So it's like Harry has now visited Voldemort in a couple of different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. But so Harry then clarifies, I was the snake. I saw it all from the snake's point of view. And so then, Dumbledore is going to respond. Is Arthur seriously injured? Yes, said Harry emphatically. So he's just like, oh my gosh, somebody do something about this.
Yeah. And it's like, why were they all so slow on the uptake? And it's like, I drew a little arrow back up to earlier in the page where it says, the words seem to reverberate in the air after he said them. Slightly ridiculous, even comic. And it's like, that's why they're so slow up in the uptake. It's sort of like, well, because you're saying you saw it happen in a dream. I guess that's the slow part. Like, how do we know we're supposed to take it seriously? And I think what's funny about it, though, is it says slightly ridiculous, even comic, which I think I also circled because that is how the Ministry of Magic is treating all of Harry's other claims. Like, they're comic, ridiculous. Like, what are you even talking about, dude?
Right.
You know, but now you have Dumbledore in the same situation. It's like, are you going to believe Harry or are you going to treat him like everyone else? And Dumbledore's like, I believe you.
Right. Exactly. Yes. And it's like, it's tricky too, because it's like everything does sound so out of the realm of the ordinary, but also it's a book about magic. So, you know, a lot of it's out of the ordinary.
Of course.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
There are flying cars and broomsticks and half giants and whatnot.
Yeah.
But anyway, then, so Dumbledore stood up so quickly that Harry jumped. And so this is sort of like the moment at which Dumbledore is sort of like, all right, we're jumping into action.
Yes.
Everard, and you too, Dillis. So that's a little piece of trivia there for you. So who were the two former headmasters that Dumbledore calls on first to aid in the attack or recovery of Arthur Weasley?
Right. So we have Everard and Dillis. Everard, if you're curious, this is his only mention ever. There is no other background to Everard. Whether that's his first name or last name. And we don't know, I think, when he was headmaster, just that there's also a portrait of him at the ministry. And this is pretty much it. He tells Everard to go do something, and that's all we ever hear of him. Dillis has a portrait at St. Mungos and was a healer there for a while before she became headmaster or headmistress at Hogwarts.
That's right. Yep, exactly.
Yes.
I have to imagine, though, that Everard is his first name because Dillis is Dillis's first name.
That's true. That's true.
I would assume that, I mean, not that there's like no convention that would suggest otherwise, but you know, if he's going by first name basis.
You're right. He's going to refer to Phineas Nigellus as Phineas as well.
That's true. Yeah, not Nigellus.
Yeah.
Nigellus Thornberry.
Nigellus Thornberry. Of course.
I wonder if the people out there get that reference. Any Wild Thornberries fans?
They must. They must.
Fans or else just remember it at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of those shows I feel like there's so many like memes about it and stuff, and yet I never like see any like GIFs about it. I never hear anyone else like talk about it. It was on so much and then just disappeared. Right.
Yes. I wonder if it's like a show that was like great Nickelodeon filler, but it was nobody's favorite show.
Right. That's sort of what it seemed like.
Yeah. Anyway, not the point. There's that one episode though where she gives the needles to all the birds and it completely disrupts the ecosystem.
I remember that one a lot.
That one stuck with me.
Yeah. Over the course of like a couple hours.
Right. It's pretty remarkable how quickly.
Right. Giving some birds some needles so they can get grubs, and those grubs can't turn into insects and the other animals start starving. Oh my God. Well.
Yeah.
Anyway, she can talk to snakes too. Maybe she's a parcel mouth.
Oh, yeah. Eliza Thornberry.
Eliza Thornberry, heir of Slytherin.
That's why she has to go live in the Humvee.
Exactly.
Oh boy. Okay, let's move forward.
All right. So he sends Everard to the ministry. The man has red hair and glasses. You will need to raise the alarm. Make sure he's found by the right people. So Everard's going to go there and just find Arthur basically, and double check everything.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first time though that we're introduced to the brand of magic, which suggests that portraits can flip between their frames. I guess we've technically already seen this happen before,
right?
Because Phineas Nigellus is in the bedroom that Harry was staying in at number 12 Grimmauld Place. But at that point in time, no messages from the headmaster were passed to or fro, so you would just assume that it's a portrait of Phineas there.
Right.
So that was a glimpse at what would be one end of a receiver, but not the other, or any knowledge that they'd be connected. This is the first time it's going to be explained to us that this can happen, and it will go on to be vitally important as the story continues to unfold, especially in Deathly Hallows, where Hermione very intelligently brings Phineas Nigellus's portrait from number 12 with them.
It's also a power that seems reserved for the headmasters. The other portraits in the school can only travel to other portraits in the school.
Right.
Whereas these can travel to other portraits of themselves, which is also the kind of magic we assume Dumbledore is using with the chocolate frogs.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So that's always one of the really cool fan theories, because there's the sentiment that Dumbledore was okay with losing his, all these high ranking political positions and whatever, but the one thing he hopes is they don't take him off the chocolate frog cards, which could be as simple as Dumbledore's deep love for, things that are whimsical and fun and happy, like candy and music and whatnot. But it also could be because it's Dumbledore and he's been notoriously known for having covert ways of sort of circumventing the law.
Exactly. And that he uses candy as his passwords, so he uses candy for secrets.
He does.
And this would be another example of him using candy to spy on people and pass secret messages and stuff like that.
Precisely.
Yeah, because they say the Order has more, or different ways of communicating with each other besides Dolores Umbridge's fireplace.
That's it. Yeah.
It's this is the way.
This is the way. And it also does say, I don't know if it is just limited to headmasters, but it seems within the castle, it seems that's probably the case, because Dumbledore does further explain that these portraits, their renown is such that they have portraits hanging in other important wizarding institutions. So basically these were people who were important enough to other places that they would also have a portrait hung there as well.
Yeah. So good establishing of this functionality, because of course in Deathly Hallows it'll be enormously important. It's how Snape is going to find them in the Forest of Dean.
Right.
Because they're finally going to say where they are, and Phineas Nigellus can go to tell Snape, and then Snape can go tell Dumbledore, or he can go tell Dumbledore, and Dumbledore can be you have to give them the sword.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
But they have to do it under an act of valor.
And he's don't worry, I've got a plan, and it's gonna suck.
Gonna make him swim into a really cold pool of water.
Yeah, you've heard of ice baths, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
For Severus Snape, huge on the Wim Hof method.
Right.
That's the
breathe, Potter. Breathe. Oh, never learns. But then Harry is going to exclaim, but Mr. Weasley could be anywhere, said Harry. But this is one of those situations where fortunately Dumbledore knows exactly where Arthur is. It's Harry's not putting it together fast enough. It's he clearly knows.
Yes. We're not concerned about that. And then Dumbledore is going to ask Professor McGonagall to draw up extra chairs.
Yeah, sort of a weird thing. Could you do it? I couldn't be bothered to spare my own wand.
Right, that's exactly it. Yes. Yeah. In which case I'd be able to provide them with 3 cushy chintz armchairs, but instead we have the straight-backed wooden chairs that were quite unlike the comfortable chintz armchair that Dumbledore had conjured back at Harry's hearing.
Okay, so this is an interesting that McGonagall summons these otherwise uncomfortable sounding chairs.
Right.
The question is, does the Witcher Wizard have any control over what the chairs are going to look like, or are the chairs a reflection of their personality?
I literally wrote the exact same question on my page here, and I think it's, is it a style choice, or is Transfiguration almost like an extension of the personality is what I wrote.
Yeah.
So it's is this almost like the equivalent of your handwriting, if you could imagine that, where it's you can certainly work on your penmanship and write better, which is probably also true in the realm of Transfiguration.
Yeah.
And I mostly just think it's a fun thought experiment, because we don't always get a ton of information about how magic works. And so the idea that if you ask 10 different people to summon a chair, you would get 10 different chairs. It's sort of like, okay, that's kind of fascinating because the chintz armchair feels exactly Dumbledore coded. Like it's almost like a little like eclectic, but it's cozy, it's soft, it's comforting, welcoming, that type of thing. Whereas like we know that McGonagall is known for like the extremely tight hair bun.
Tight. It's like rigidness here, and this feels like it's there. Now, unfortunately, and I can't believe this, later in this exact chapter, this is going to happen again, and we will not get a description of the chairs.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Not good.
It's not good. So it could have really like given us a third reference point for it, because Arthur is going to summon chairs in the hospital room, and it will not describe them for us.
No.
So I was like, oh, come on.
If you're going to summon chairs, you got to tell us what they look like.
I know. Yeah. You know? Like if you did it 2 other times, I want to know what Arthur's chairs look like.
Right. What would they look like? Oh my gosh.
Like Muggle chairs or like metal folding chairs or something.
Yeah. He's like simply brilliant.
Brilliant. These the chairs these Muggles come up with.
They fold.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. He would just love the idea that they're kind of clever.
Yeah. They fold.
Yeah. Like to him, that's like luxurious.
Yeah. Look at this. Watch. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's smaller.
It's small. You could lean it right up against the wall or stack them. Or
Arthur, we can just vanish them. It's okay.
Yeah, but
you conjured them out of midair.
Good point. Then we also get kind of an interesting thing where Dumbledore was going to say, "We will need a warning." And this is a request of Fawkes, the Phoenix.
Yes.
And this is going to be a situation where we learn of a unique ability of Fawkes's, which is going to be to basically like essentially disapparate from a space, and when doing so, leaves a single feather.
Mm-hmm. And what's important about, if we want to branch into another theory here, which of course we do, what you'll notice here is that Fawkes it says there was a flash of fire and the Phoenix had gone. So this is a form of teleportation. It's getting one spot to another. Fawkes is on the lookout now somewhere else in the castle.
Right.
He's also going to be able to flit inside of Grimmauld Place later on, which is also protected by a myriad of spells. So clearly the protection of other spells isn't affecting Fawkes. He can travel right through them with his form of teleportation.
Yeah, and this is actually something I think they could, like even like in the HBO show, they could spend more time with if they felt like it, because it's a rather exceptional exception, if you will, to what is otherwise like all of the other difficulties. But this would be like a situation where Dumbledore is uniquely one of 2 entities ever to have successfully trained a Phoenix.
Right.
Which means that like this is like almost like a loophole in defensive magic that allows almost like a wormhole for Dumbledore to like pass through.
Right.
He can leave all the defenses perfectly in place because he has the ability to get in and out thanks to Fawkes.
Right.
Which is not something that like, I think Dumbledore can rest perfectly assured that under no circumstance could Voldemort ever tame a Phoenix.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really cool in that way, because then even like the name Order of the Phoenix is sort of like, this is the key.
This is the key. The Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah. I guess although that said, Voldemort has at least tamed the wand with a phoenix feather from this exact Phoenix.
That's also true, which I had an interesting question about this as well, because the way that Fawkes's warning works is obviously showing up and dropping a feather to like basically like let Dumbledore know something happened.
You're right. Is this
what if that's the only way to harvest?
Oh, the feathers by using this?
Is like this particular like branch of magic. Like,
right.
Because it would be a highly rare circumstance to be able to harvest a feather, because you could say it's immortal. You could just basically like let them live, go pluck a feather when you need a wand, boom, bam, no problem. But like for some reason, I like the idea that the Phoenix almost has to like participate in the collection of its feather.
Right.
You know, and then it feels more like a higher degree of like respect for the beast involved.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there are scarce few wizards, even though there's only 3 wand cores that Ollivander sells. It's like almost everyone else is unicorn or dragon heartstring.
Right.
And we pretty much know of Voldemort and Harry
with the Phoenix cores.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that is tricky. Of course, our other theory here is that clearly it's a flash of fire, and there is another way in the wizarding world in which you travel through a flash of fire, which is flue powder.
Correct.
Right. So the theory is, and if you know, the way flue powder is obtained is that it is sold from a single shop in Diagon Alley, and they don't give out the recipe ever, right? So it's really just manufactured by this one place. The price has literally never changed ever. And so our theory is that that flue powder is actually the ashes from a phoenix when they burn.
Right. And the reason that you would never change the price is because phoenixes are immortal. So you would always have the exact same supply.
Right.
Always.
Yeah.
Which I guess like supply and demand may suggest that demand could go higher as more people are participating in Flue Network related activities or whatever. But even still, like I think it makes a lot of sense because it's sort of like you might have this one group of people that I suppose theoretically could have phoenixes in some capacity.
Right. Maybe because I think there's like a bit of mystery surrounding the shop.
Yeah. Is it Ignatia Wildsmith?
Ignatia Wildsmith is who invents it. Yes.
Okay.
And if you've played Hogwarts Legacy, she's speaking up to you all the time because there's all these little like flue powder like teleportation points throughout the game.
Oh, I see. Yeah. For a video game especially, it seems like a great opportunity to use this technology to the max.
Yeah. But then because it's also in Diagon Alley, and if they're harvesting, like if they have like a secret phoenix or something in there that they've managed to tame and that's how they're getting the flue powder, that's also a great way then for Ollivander to be getting his supply of phoenix feathers because it's on the same street.
It's on the same street. Right. Yeah. Yes. And Ollivander has been there since like 482 or something. Yeah. So
phoenixes live forever. So it might be the same phoenix.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah.
Except for the two in Harry and Voldemort's wand, which of course came from a certain phoenix that gave just one other phoenix, which makes their phoenix wands very different from every other phoenix wand.
Also very true.
Which would also then mean that every phoenix wand he sold, if this is true, is a brother wand.
That's also true. Yeah. So it seems like Phoenix Wands would be way more likely to engage in Priori Incantatem.
It does.
Than any other brand. Unless there's like some thought to the idea that like it needs to come from the same like Phoenix's life.
That could be. That could be the case,
in order to fully be brotherified. Maybe they're cousin wands.
They're cousin wands, yeah.
Right. Oh goodness, I was going to say a thought here. And the curiosity to me as to even like why Dumbledore would have ever supplied Fawkes's phoenix feathers to Ollivander in the first place almost makes me wonder if there was some type of like prophecy that was delivered to Dumbledore circa 1930, because we would know that Tom Riddle would get his in 37. So he would need to have supplied it before 37 in order for Ollivander to have made the wand. Some type of prophecy that would suggest like that these two wand feathers would bring about peace to the wizarding world, because if that was the case, then Dumbledore would probably have a rather contentious relationship with divination, which we know he does have.
Yeah.
Because it would mean that he would have supplied the feather that would have gone to Tom Riddle that would have led to the First Wizarding War. And it wouldn't be all the way until the year 1991 when the other one finally gets to emerge.
Right.
In the form of Harry's.
Right.
So it's like for the better part of, math, 50 something years, Dumbledore would be like, I hate divination.
Right, yeah.
Because I supplied the wand. I gave the phoenix feather.
I got the phoenix feather. Now there's this kid.
Right. All that blood's on my hands, which would be a very Dumbledore way to look at it.
That'd be a way to look at it for sure. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, getting back into the action. No, you're good. You're good. We know there's prophecies at play in the Fantastic Beasts movies anyway, with the return great Avenger with wings from the water and all that.
The predictions of Tycho Dodonus.
Yes, the predictions of Tycho Dodonus. I've heard it. Anyway, so next we have Dumbledore swoop down upon the fragile silver instruments whose function Harry had never known and still won't. Not really, anyway. We'll get to see it in action. But okay, so what he's going to do, he gets the silver instrument. It says the instrument tinkled into life at once with rhythmic clinking. Tiny puffs of pale green smoke issued from the minuscule silver tube at the top. A steady stream of smoke that thickened and coiled in the air. A serpent's head grew out of the end of it, opening its mouth wide. Okay, so here's what we have. Silver instrument makes green smoke that turns into a snake.
Right? I mean, that's very Slytherin coded.
It's so Slytherin. So here was my theory was, could the silver objects in the headmaster's office have belonged to Salazar himself?
It's very interesting. It's very interesting because, it makes sense that the image that would be depicted from it under these circumstances, given the context, would be a snake, because what Harry is talking about is snake related.
Right.
So the snake emerging is certainly that. However, what I love about your idea is that it's always, I think we know that the headmaster's office must have been Gryffindor's own living quarters, a la the Griffin door.
The Griffin door.
Yeah, so
you guys get it. It's a pun.
It's a pun. It's
we get it, Godric. Yes, it's hilarious.
Right? Yes. To which I bet Salazar was like, very good. Yes,
very good. I bet he was like, I love it.
Right, I know.
Rowena and Helga just like rolling their eyes like, you want to go work on the kitchens? Yeah, let's go.
This is the key thing we have to keep in mind about the relationship between Godric and Salazar is that it has to be the most tantalizing friendship you've ever seen.
Right.
Like you have to laugh, you have to love them.
It has to be so fun. Until it's not.
Right. But I was going to say on that exact note, though, like I would love a world where the headmaster resides in Godric Gryffindor's former living quarters, and that's like the Gryffindor portion of it. But then if all the silver instruments were instruments of Salazar's creation, then it would be like a cool way to see the two working together through the millennium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are the silver instruments former objects of Slytherin himself?
Right. Do they say that Slytherin was a seer, or am I mixing that up with not Godric
Grindelwald?
Gellert Grindelwald.
Yeah, Grindelwald's a seer. I don't know that we know that Slytherin was a seer. No.
Okay. I was just going to say, because this is the reason it feels so divination related is that I think they're doing dream journals in this book, or was that last book?
I think it's this book.
Okay. Anyway, we know one way or another, we know it's a branch of divination is studying dreams.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it seems like it's a bunch of hooey, because it's Trelawney.
Hooey.
Yeah. So it just doesn't seem all that legitimate. But this is a situation where Harry had what resembles a dream rather closely, and here is like almost divination made solid in a way where it's almost like it seems like this box, if it's able to listen to the events of the room or like give an illustration of what Harry's discussing,
right?
It's almost like is that a piece of like what it can like go into the source code of like Harry's description and give like an embodiment,
right? And it's like Harry's like, is this instrument confirming my story? And he's trying to get Dumbledore to give him a sign that that's true. And Dumbledore is just staring at the serpent, which is just a serpent's head grew out of it, opening its mouth wide. Which it's like, is that supposed to be Nagini attacking Mr. Weasley? I guess.
I think so.
Right. That seems like what it would have to be. And then Dumbledore is like, naturally. And then here's the question, because the next thing he says is, but in essence divided? ? So is he asking the question to himself, or is he asking the question to the instrument? Is it like, naturally, but in essence divided? Or is it like, but in essence divided? Right. Like, is he talking to the smoke, or is he talking to himself?
I think he's talking to himself here.
Right. I guess it says Dumbledore apparently to himself, still observing the stream of smoke without the slightest sign of surprise. But in essence divided?
It's a big moment for Dumbledore, because I think this is like confirming fully and completely that a piece of Voldemort lives within Harry.
Yeah, he's confirming the Horcruxes.
Right.
I think what's happening. But it says the first thing, naturally murmured to himself, it says, but in essence divided. And it's like, Harry couldn't make heads or tails of this question. The smoke serpent, however, split itself instantly. It's like Dumbledore asks it. It's like, but in essence divided? And the smoke's like, yes.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense. Like is he communicating with the
instrument?
The instrument.
Yeah.
Yes. And and how would it know?
I know. Like, what is this instrument?
Well, okay. So I mean, I guess on some level, like what it could be saying, like if it is able to detect, like in order for it to signify two snakes, almost what it has to be suggesting is that, yes, there was a snake at this faraway place. That happened. Here's where the bite happened. I can show you that. But then almost it's like asking, like, but then how is Harry here? And so one of the snakes obviously must represent Harry, and the other one must represent Nagini / Voldemort.
Right.
And so it's almost like, it's almost like what it's telling Dumbledore is like, yes, the boy in the room is telling the truth. He experienced it as the snake, but also there is a snake there and he is here, which means there must be two snakes.
Right. You know what helps the Slytherin theory?
What?
Is that Voldemort is the heir of Slytherin. So all of these bits of his soul would maybe be able to be like communicated through one of Slytherin's own objects.
That is exceptionally good.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's dead on. Right. I mean, like, so even if that's the thing, like, so if this is an instrument that can detect true Slytherins, Like,
right. Yes.
you know, like, I mean, that's the kind of thing where like,
it seems like, oh my gosh, it can detect true Slytherins, right? Because what does Slytherin care about except pure-bloodedness, right?
Right.
Like, he cares about his own lineage.
Yes.
Therefore, this might be a good object to have.
Right. Yes. How can I confirm that you are in fact of my pure blood?
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
Right. So in that way, this would almost be like Dumbledore using Slytherin's own instrument against him.
I know. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Which, you know, is fun in the lens of Slytherin was a bad guy, evil, McEvilson, even though we tend to have an endearing lens towards Slytherin. But the canon also suggests he wasn't the greatest dude.
The canon as it's written leans heavily into Slytherin was a bad guy, but only because we weren't there 1,000 years ago. And I love to think that he wasn't such a bad guy, but part of Voldemort's villainy is the corruption of the Slytherin name.
I absolutely agree. I think it makes it way more interesting. It adds way more complexity to the narrative instead of just there was some evil, mean guy a long time ago who didn't succeed and took 1,000 years for his heir to finally do what he hoped to do.
Right.
Because times have changed so dramatically over the course of 1,000 years.
Yeah. We don't know what the circumstances were. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And we know that he was friends with Godric, and Godric seems like he was a good guy.
Exactly.
So, like, you know,
best of friends.
The best.
Yeah. You know, that's how it is. Because otherwise he's more like Peter, and that's not great, you know.
Yeah, that's not the best.
No.
We wouldn't enjoy that.
Wouldn't enjoy that.
Because then you've got a group of 4 with one of them kind of being like the worst.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We want a generation, we want a shift, right?
A shift.
Yeah. It's always a group of 4.
It really is. Well, except for the Gold Trio.
Yeah. Well, I got Neville. He's sort of there.
He's adjacent.
He's adjacent.
The Golden Trio.
When Harry hears the story about how Sirius Black betrayed his parents, he has a dream about it later that night. And in the dream, Peter Pettigrew is... because he doesn't know what he looks like. He just looks like Neville in the dream. It says that. It's like Peter Pettigrew, who looked like Neville Longbottom.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. So the people who comment on our Luna is Snape video and are like, Neville and Peter aren't the same. I'm like, Harry himself, okay, draws the connection.
Also, I think you're missing the point where each of the new generation of people, like, now I have to explain the whole thing. Harry is James, Ron is Sirius, Hermione is Lupin, and Neville is Peter.
Right.
And it's not that they are those people. All of the Marauders are flawed.
Right.
And the idea is that the new generation is the like rectified version of the formers. So like James let pride get the best of him. Sirius lets the rashness gets the best of him. Peter's fear gets the best of him. Lupin's disgrace gets the best of him. And, you know, like Hermione, like wears the mudblood badge as like a source of pride. Like,
right.
She doesn't let the werewolf, you know,
Yeah. Lupin's ashamed to be a werewolf.
Exactly.
Right.
And Peter allows the fear to get the best of him, where like Neville overcomes fear and becomes the true Gryffindor in the end. Whereas arguably Peter is just sort of like a sniveling jerk face.
Right. You can see that they sort of start the same. They're just sort of like the cowardly boy.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yes. But they emerge. The way that they merge and the way that they handle their circumstances is so very different. And that is of vital importance. So we would never say that the great Neville Longbottom is as terrible as the horrid Peter Pettigrew.
As terrible as Peter is, that's how great Neville is. That's the point of the theory.
Yes. Yeah. They are the same but different.
Right.
Anyway.
We
made it like 3 pages.
I mean, I knew this chapter was going to be this way.
It's an important chapter.
There's so much in it.
There's a lot of meat on this bone.
Yeah, there is. Unlike Mr. Weasley, who's just been taking a big chunk out of, but we'll get to him. Eventually.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Harry wanted to ask what the strange silver instrument was for, but before he could do so, there was a shout from the top of the wall to the right. Like, I so badly wish Harry had been able to ask. But he didn't.
I know.
So we don't know.
Right.
It's all right. That's what we're here for. You know, we'll help you get through it.
That's right. Yep. Let's see. Dumbledore! What news? I yelled until someone came running, said the wizard, who was mopping his brow of the curtain behind him.
Mopping his brow? They sweat?
They sweat, apparently.
You know how paint sweats.
Right. Yeah. Said I heard something moving downstairs. They weren't sure whether to believe me, but went down to check. You know, there are no portraits down there to wash from. Anyway, they carried him up a few minutes later. He doesn't look good. He's covered in blood. I ran along to Elfrida Cragg's portrait to get a good view as they left. So Elfrida Cragg.
Oh yeah, did you look up her?
I didn't look up her, but I was like, I literally wrote trivia, but please don't ask us.
Right, Elfrida Cragg.
Okay, how do we remember Elfrida Cragg?
Elfrida Cragg, the only the portrait nearest the, I don't know, stairs or something. Yeah, they weren't sure whether to believe me when on the check. There was no portraits down there. Anyway, they carried him up a few minutes later. He doesn't look good. He's covered in blood. I ran along to Elfrida. Yeah, it's got to, because there's no, the lift doesn't go down to this floor, right? They have to take the stairs. Right. So that must be this. Elfrida Crag is near the crag in the wall that has the stairs in it.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay.
Boom, bam.
Crag in the stairs. We got that. Yeah. That sounds good. That sounds good. Good, said Dumbledore as Ron made a convulsive movement. I take it Dilys will have seen him arrive then.
And moments later, sure enough, the silver ringleted witch reappeared in her picture too. She sank coughing into her armchair. What is everyone... The idea that the portraits are like out of shape is hilarious to me.
They just don't have enough to do, Jay.
How they keep it in shape,
Sit around all day doing nothing but eating Cheetos.
To me, it's like, when you draw me, just like... make it known that like the guy, like under the clothes, that guy's like pretty fit.
Like shredded.
Like if he had to like run somewhere, he wouldn't be winded.
Exactly, exactly. So you can make the clothes look kind of like large on me to like better, like whatever.
But make it your artistic intent that he's fit beneath the clothes.
That's it. Yeah, you got to think of these things when you're having your portrait made of you.
Exactly.
That way you can be superhuman in your painted self.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah. Once again, though, we get the report. They carried him past under my portrait. He looks bad.
Thank you. Minerva, I need you to go wake the other Weasley children. I love like Dumbledore's leadership here. He's basically like the moment he clicks into gear, he's like, right, Dilys, Everard, head to your places. I need a report on this. Fox, you're going to leave me a warning in case Umbridge comes. Minerva, make some chairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Silver instruments. I have questions for you. Smoke. All right, Everard, okay. Report. Dilys, report. Great. Minerva, go do this. It's like boom, 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 boom.
It reminds me so much of the first Avengers movie.
Yes.
I don't know how we've come back to Cap twice, but there's a scene after they've kind of like failed to fight, the incoming alien invasion or whatever, where they like have the money shot that we always call it, which is like the 6 Avengers, and there's like the camera sweeping shot all around them. Yeah. They're all in action poses, and Cap jumps up on a car, and it's like, instead of being able to like fly like Iron Man or smash stuff like Hulk, what Cap is doing is like giving instruction, like, you people go here, you people go here, you go up there, like everybody needs to be like in position in order to like coordinated work together to make, to do battle.
Yeah.
And it's like that in that moment, it's like, that is Cap's superpower,
right?
Is like being able to be a leader.
Yeah.
And put people where they will be most useful. And that's exactly what he's doing now. What Dumbledore's doing now.
Yes. And then, she's like, what about Molly? And it's like, that will be a job for Fox when he finishes keeping lookout. That excellent clock of hers. So just nice little reference to the Weasley clock, which is certainly pointing at mortal peril.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But so then Harry, of course, is like, but Mrs. Weasley was probably asleep and not watching the clock. And he felt cold as he remembered Mrs. Weasley's boggart turning into Mr. Weasley's lifeless body, his glasses askew, blood running down his face. But Mr. Weasley wasn't going to die. He couldn't.
Yeah, right. Of course. Although that was the original plan, I believe, right?
That was the original plan.
Was he going to die here?
I think he was going to battle
Hogwarts.
I think in the Battle of Hogwarts, because I think Lupin gets traded.
Yeah, I think Lupin died instead of Mr. Weasley.
Yes, it had to be one of the two.
The Weasleys had suffered too much.
Yeah. Right. That's it. Yeah. Well, and then of course it also sets up in a mortifying way a counter to Harry's being raised as like an orphan in a post-war situation,
right?
Which is not something that we ever want to happen, but the idea is that like Teddy Lupin gets to grow up a better existence than
right.
Harry. So
right. Harry gets to give a child the childhood the Dursleys didn't give him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So then Dumbledore pulls out a blackened kettle, which he turns into a portkey with the portkey spell Portus, which I guess is an illegal portkey, but he's able to make it anyway.
Yes. Also, it starts to emit an odd blue light, which I think is just like an additional little piece of trivia there. Like, what color does a portkey glow upon being activated?
Right.
I was curious, and not to spend too much time on the tea kettle, but it seems like he's rummaging for it. It made me wonder if this is like, if he's always using the kettle.
Right.
For portkey based
right
travel.
It's like has he done something to this particular kettle that lets it like act as a portkey inside of Hogwarts or something?
Right. Like he's almost using the idea, because like when Harry's talking to Dumbledore about Horcruxes, Harry's like, well, it could be anything, tin cans. And Dumbledore's like, you're thinking of portkeys, which are meant to be like easily overlooked.
Right.
But this would be a situation where he's got this blackened old kettle in his office full of fine silver instruments.
Right.
It almost seems like he's intentionally left an object that could be easily overlooked for this
reason.
Right.
Yeah. Now is the time. Of course, now we get introduced properly to Phineas Nigellus Black.
Right. Yeah. And I do love this situation and the way that it plays out. I feel like this is another one that could be like done on screen very well because the rest of the portraits clearly hate Phineas.
Yes.
Because Phineas is so uninterested in helping at all.
Yes.
It's like Dumbledore obviously called into action Everard and Dilys, who immediately were like, yep, we're in it.
Yep.
But we will go sweat for you, Dumbledore.
Right.
Meanwhile, Phineas, he has to shout at 5 times before we get a theatrical jerk and Phineas opens his eyes wide. Then someone call. I need you to visit your other portrait again, Phineas, said Dumbledore. I've got another message. Visit my other portrait. Oh, no, Dumbledore, I am too tired tonight.
Very good Phineas voice.
Thank you.
Dare I say.
Insubordination, sir.
I know. I love that. I love the other portraits.
Yeah, a corpulent red-nosed wizard brandishing his fist.
What? Do you know who that is?
Oh gosh, I do.
Yeah,
but who is it?
It is Dexter Fortescue.
Dexter Fortescue.
Yeah.
Yes.
That the corpulent red-nosed wizard who also has the ear trumpet.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yes, that's perfect.
Dereliction of duty.
Right. We are honored bound to give service to the present headmaster of Hogwarts, cried a frail-looking old wizard who Harry recognized as Dumbledore's predecessor, Armando Dippet. Shame on you, Phineas.
Yes.
So it's nice. It's nice to know that as much as Dippet was swooned, if you will, by a young Tom Riddle during his time at school, that now he has come around and is in full support of Dumbledore's mission to take him down.
Yeah, and then I love that there's another portrait that's like, "Shall I persuade him, Dumbledore?" said a gimlet-eyed witch, raising an unusually thick wand that looked not unlike a birch rod. So not that's interesting. It's almost like a baton.
Right. Yes. Yeah. What exactly is gimlet-eyed? Do you know what that means?
I do not know what. I mean, I think of as a gimlet as a drink.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what gimlet-eyed would be. I think you drink a gimlet out of like a martini glass.
So maybe like similar. Triangular?
So something like that, or a triangular shaped. I don't know what gimlet-eyed is supposed to be.
Okay. Well, either way, that's the kind of eyes they have. Yeah. Oh, very well, said the wizard called Phineas, eyeing this wand apprehensively. Though he may as well destroy my picture by now. He's done most of the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sirius knows not to destroy your portrait, said Dumbledore. Harry realized immediately where he heard Phineas's voice before, so this is the one that's like the muddy patch in his room. So if he was really thinking, he'd be like, oh my God, Dumbledore is spying on me in my bedroom. Because he could realize now that this is where the portrait's going.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, you could put that together rather quickly. Harry could think that.
Yes, Harry could think that.
Right, yes. But even the way that Phineas is like responding is like, Arthur Weasley, injured, wife and children, Harry Potter, coming to stay. Yes, very well. Like he sounds like a really bored, like, waiter,
right?
Kind of being like, yes,
right,
okay, I got it, okay.
Yes, it's like, you got all that? It's like, yes, 3 breadsticks, Dr. Pepper, decaf coffee, all right, yeah.
Me right there. Yeah. Let's see here. But then at this point in time, Fred, George, and Ginny were ushered in by Professor McGonagall, all 3 of them looking disheveled and shocked, still in their night things.
Do you think McGonagall's like patting her brow or out of breath or anything?
You know, McGonagall has like an elliptical machine in her office.
Absolutely, a Muggle elliptical machine.
That's it.
She's like, I'm wearing these robes, but
right, don't mess with me.
Don't mess with me.
Is what I'm trying to say. I get my steps in.
I get my steps in. You know.
Right. Yeah. But Ginny immediately looks to Harry. Harry, what's going on?
Yes, looks to Harry, not Dumbledore, for safety.
Kind of crazy.
Right, yes.
Yeah. It's a neat little nod there.
It is, yeah.
Even that Ginny's the first one to speak up, too.
I know.
Because arguably at this point in time, Fred and George are much closer with Harry than Ginny is.
Yeah, I would argue that as well. But she speaks to Harry first for comfort.
But Dumbledore is the one who answers, not Harry.
Right.
Your father has been injured in the course of his work for the Order of the Phoenix, said Dumbledore, before Harry could speak.
And then like, okay, we gotta go meet your mother at Grimmauld Place. And they're like, how are we getting there? Flu powder? No, flu powder's not safe at the moment. The network is being watched. You'll be taking a port key, which are also regulated by the ministry. So whatever. I'm not sure why this is any better. But.
I know. Yeah, it is sort of surprising. But this is also one of those situations where you know that Sirius must have communed with Dumbledore after Umbridge tried to catch him in the Gryffindor fireplace. So it means that Dumbledore is fully aware of the fact that Sirius has been visiting Harry.
Oh, yes.
Through that.
Right.
Because that would probably be how he knows that the Floo network's being watched, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason for Sirius not to tell Dumbledore.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
And then then Fawkes returns, the flash of flame at the middle of the office, leaving behind a single golden feather that floated gently to the floor. So, right, that could be a phoenix core or a wand core.
That's right
there.
Yes. It's Fawkes' warning. She must know you're out of beds. So, we're just using she here, not like Umbridge or Dolores or anything.
Yeah. But clearly it's like you can tell like Dumbledore is very in on the situation of Umbridge is a huge problem.
Yes. But I also, it's interesting to see it from this perspective as well, because it's like he just says, Minerva, go and head her off. Tell her any story, which is just like huge trust. It's like Dumbledore sort of like, I know you've got it. Like, you know, you will handle it however you see fit and you have my approval.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. This whole Fawkes flashing in and out also sets up how Dumbledore will escape when the ministry tries to arrest him later in the book.
Right.
So just set up there. And then Phineas comes back and says, my great grandson has always had old tastes and house guests. It's like, ugh, you suck.
He does. I was like, what do you mean, good ones?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
odd taste and house guests. What kind of people would you have there, sir? You know?
Right. If I had the opportunity to host Harry Potter, I would.
I know.
Okay.
Exactly.
You know, Fred, George, Ginny, all of them. I would be all in on it.
Yes.
If it means Fred's still alive, absolutely.
Right. But Phineas Nigel's Black, just fun fact, is also the least popular Hogwarts headmaster ever.
Yes.
So it's obvious why.
Yes, absolutely. Come here then, said Dumbledore to Harry and the Weasleys, and quickly, before anyone else joins us. Yeah. So he still has done, he like, obviously, I think everybody in the room knows exactly who he's talking about, but he has not actually directly thrown Umbridge's name under the bus. Yeah,
not quite yet. But then they're counting down to activate the port key, which seems like it's a different way that the port key is activating. Like he has set it to like, okay, so this feels like the third way you've seen a port key where it's like when they're going to the Quidditch World Cup, they have to find it, and that one is going off at a predetermined set time, and you must be touching it by then. Then you've got the port key in the middle of the maze, which is like just touch activated. The moment you touch it, it works.
Right.
And then also has a return switch on it, I guess, you know, or whatever.
Which is always unusual, but that goes into a whole Barty Crouch Jr. plan.
This one seems like one where Dumbledore has activated it to be used after he does like a it's not that they touch it and it goes, and it doesn't seem like he set a timer because he doesn't know when the Weasley kids are going to get there. Yeah. So it's sort of like everyone touch it, 1, 2, 3, go. So it's like he can like remote activate it almost.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm not fussed by that at all. It just seems like the extraordinary power of Dumbledore. So
I'm not fussed by it. It's just interesting that how many different ways port keys can be utilized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so then obviously the other really important detail about this moment is that as Dumbledore is counting down, before he says the number 3, Harry is going to look up into Dumbledore's eyes. They will make eye contact for the first time for this whole book. And Harry's scar is going to burn white hot. And then an unbidden, unwanted, but terrifyingly strong hatred rose within Harry, so powerful for that an instant he would like nothing better than to strike, to bite, to sink his fangs into the man before him.
3.
3. Yeah. And then we get there. And so this is, I think, sort of like the first time that Voldemort has flitted into Harry.
Right.
You know, and just for a moment.
Just for a moment, yeah. So they've made eye contact, and Voldemort has recognized Dumbledore through Harry's eyes, and just like the absolute hatred he has for Dumbledore comes erupting through Harry.
Yes.
And it's really bad timing that this is happening for the first time right after Harry has seen himself through the eyes of the snake, because he is going to like connect the two things together when they're actually not connected.
Right. So Harry is effectively starting to think he's going crazy, because now again, you got a 2 nickel situation where it's sort of like, why is there twice in like one night when I thought I wanted to attack someone who I would otherwise see as a complete and utter ally?
Right. Exactly.
Which is a little bit, I mean, that could really make you start to question yourself really quickly.
Right. And it's exactly what's going to happen to Harry. But alas, earwax, they arrive at Grimmauld Place, and the portrait of Mrs. Black starts screaming at them immediately. And out roared a second voice. Harry scrambled to his feet and looked around. He had arrived in the gloomy basement kitchen of number 12, Grimmauld Place. So when he yells out, here. Is he yelling it to Creature?
That's a good...
Because who's he saying it to? Out?
Out for a second voice. Back again. Okay. I mean, is it Sirius yelling at the portrait, or is it Sirius yelling at Creature? Because he will try to summon Creature in just a moment, and Creature will not come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I mean.
So it could be a situation where maybe it's even directed at the portrait, but maybe Sirius or Creature can choose to interpret it however he wishes.
Right, maybe. That's almost what you have to think. Because like, why would you say out to the portrait? Like, it can't go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. So that's sort of a weird one. But Harry scrambled to his feet from the basement, in the basement kitchen, which is like one of those things. I never realized the kitchen was in the basement. Except until doing it on the podcast here.
Right. Yeah. I know. I mean, it says it right there that you're in the basement kitchen, but this goes back to our thought that there's like a possibility that the way that Creature sends food up to the kitchen is also similar to like how it's done at Hogwarts.
Yeah. I think you might be right about that. And then, okay. So here it says though, that there's the lone candle illuminating the remains of the solitary supper, which is just sad, Sirius eating by himself. But then Creature was disappearing through the door to the hall, looking back at them malevolently as he hitched up his loincloth. So I think that is him yelling at Creature out.
Okay.
Right.
Yes. Then you also get that like sort of further context for like what Sirius has been up to in his sort of like solitary state, because it says there was also a slightly munungus like whiff of stale drink about him.
Oh, and you can tell like it says he was unshaven, still in his day clothes, which kind of makes it sound like he just sort of drank himself to sleep.
Yes, that is pretty much what it is sounding like.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, which is not a great life for old Sirius there.
Nope.
Yes, and so we said, "What's going on?" Phineas Nigellus said that Arthur's been injured badly. "Ask Harry," said Fred. "Yeah, I want to hear this for myself," said George. The twins and Ginny were staring at him. Creature's footsteps had stopped on the stairs outside. It was, Harry began. It was, Harry began. "I had a kind of vision," and he told them everything that he had seen. He altered the story though, so it sounded as though he had watched from the sidelines of the snake rather than from behind the snake's own eyes.
Right. And so now it says Creature's footsteps had stopped on the stairs outside. So Creature is listening into this entire story, which means he'll also be able to relay everything that happened to Bellatrix and Narcissa.
Also true.
Yeah.
Also true. Yep. And it's kind of interesting here as well, because it says like Ron, who's still very white, gave him a fleeting look, because Ron now knows he's heard the story both ways.
Right.
And so now Ron is aware of the fact that Harry is kind of like hiding one of the key details from everyone else in the room.
Right. Yes.
But he also doesn't say anything about it. So there's that.
Right. And then it says, Harry did not know whether he was imagining or not, but he fancied there was something accusatory in their looks, talking about Fred, George, and Ginny here, who are just staring at him. And this is like one of those things where like Harry is so blaming himself. I think this is just in his head. I cannot imagine they're actually mad at him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's probably like, I would be shocked if they were blaming him, but I think that their fear is probably all that he's witnessing.
Right.
But I do love how heavily contrasted this will be when Molly sees Harry, where she leaves no shadow of a doubt. She immediately embraces him in a hug, and she thanks him and everything. It's like Molly is going to make sure that Harry does not believe. Well, Molly's going to do everything in her power to make sure that Harry does not believe that it was his fault.
Right. Yes. As only Molly can do.
Right.
And then let's see. The important thing is to get you away before Umbridge could interfere. I expect Dumbledore's letting Molly know now, which is what Dumbledore said he would do with Fawkes after he did his lookout duties, which he has completed.
Right. Yep. But then first thing, Ginny's going to basically be like, "We don't have any cloaks. Sirius, do you have any cloaks you can lend us?" And Sirius is going to be like, "Well, hang on. How you can't go tearing off to St. Mungo's?" And Fred's sort of like, watch us. It's our dad. We're going. And then this is sort of like where I think that you do start to see a heavy contrast between the ranks of Dumbledore's army and the sophistication or maturity of the Order of the Phoenix, which we don't often get to give the Order of the Phoenix a whole lot of credit, but I do think Sirius has a couple of good points here, even if it's not what any of us rationally would want to do emotionally in this situation, which is, of course, get to our parents as soon as possible, assuming that they've been injured. But basically, Sirius is going to point out, like, how do you expect to explain that you knew that Arthur was attacked before his wife was even informed when you're supposed to be off at school? And George is like, who cares.
Right.
To which, valid reaction. But the point here is that like Sirius is kind of like, there's not a good reason why you should have this information already. And you don't know how suspicious it's going to look if you show up there beforehand. And that could tip our hand in a huge way. And that could be very dangerous in a lot of other ways. We need to be patient here and we need to do this the right way.
Right. And bear in mind, this is Sirius Black, Padfoot himself, creator of the Marauders map, who George and Fred, the Marauders are the forerunners of the Weasley twins.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Like, and now the Marauders are having to tell Fred and George, like, be patient. We're not breaking any rules here.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But then it's kind of funny too, because then Fred's response is going to be like, we don't care about the dumb order. But and then Sirius is going to respond like, your father knew what he was getting into, and he won't thank you for messing things up for the order. This is how it is. This is why you're not in the order. You don't understand. There are things worth dying for. And if you go back to page 88 of this exact book, this is where you're going to have like the moment where like Fred and George are talking about how Harry is getting his questions answered when he arrives at number 12 Grimmauld Place. And so George is going to be like, hang on, how come Harry gets his questions answered? We've been trying to get stuff out of you for a month and you haven't told us a single stinking thing. You're too young. You're not in the order, said Fred in a high-pitched voice that sounded uncannily like his mother's. Harry's not even of age. So this is sort of like going back to how annoyed they were and their willingness to be in the Order of the Phoenix when it's this like exciting, like I want to be a part of the movement type situation, but not fully grasping the gravity and danger attached.
Right.
And I think that is like what Sirius is trying to convey here. It's like, this is what it's like. Like, it's harsh. It's not good. Like, of course we want to be there for Arthur, but we have to handle this the right way.
Right. And this is how it is. This is why you're not in the order. You don't understand. There are things worth dying for. And it's interesting that he says that too, because Harry, of course, will die for this cause. He's like, yep, this is what's worth dying for.
Exactly.
Yep.
You're exactly right.
Yep.
And then Fred does deliver quite the low blow here. He says, easy for you to say you're stuck here. I don't see you risking your neck.
That said, Fred dies too.
Also true.
Yeah.
Also true. In the battle.
In the battle.
So there is that. And I mean, obviously, I think that everybody's going to mature quite a bit in the coming years as they get more folded into the real reality of the war itself. But you can only imagine Sirius's response here or feelings here, because he's clearly feeling empathy for the boys and Ginny and everybody, involved. But this is like a tough one for Sirius because it's the main demon he's struggling with.
Right. So I don't see you risking your neck. And he's like, not because I don't want to.
Exactly. Yes. He looked for a moment as though he would quite like to hit Fred. But when he spoke, it was in a voice of determined calm. I know it's hard. And so this is a moment where it's like, Sirius may even be rising to the occasion a little bit because he is so defined by his like rashness.
Yeah.
And it's like Sirius finally has something to do and he has to do it well.
Right.
And
exactly.
He is sticking to his guns. He's doing, against his nature, he's maintaining resolve.
Right. And then I love he's like trying to diffuse the situation. Like, that's right. Let's have a drink while we're waiting. Butterbeer. I'll see your butterbeer,
Right. Yes. Yeah. They all drank, and you can kind of picture this scene. If you've never been, close to like people experiencing trauma, where it's kind of like everybody's sitting in the room. Nobody's really saying anything or knows what to say. And I think sometimes the thing you have to do is realize that there is nothing that will make the situation better.
Right.
It's just simply being there. It's like, and that's it. That's the only thing. And so that's pretty much what the scene is going to be, is that nobody's really saying anything. They're not really doing anything other than discussing the time. They're slowly drinking the drinks.
Yeah. Harry was only drinking to have something to do with his hands. So it was like, me at every party ever,
Yeah. I know. I'm big on a prop. Yeah.
Gotta have the conversation. Better take a big sip.
It's like,
hopefully by the time I finish this sip, someone will have said something else.
Exactly. Yes. Where I'll think of something to say.
Yeah.
But then Harry does go into some really toxic thinking here, unfortunately. They would not be here if it was not for him. And it's sort of like, yeah, but also think of what would happen to Arthur if not for you.
Right,
so
exactly.
Like he is thinking about it through the worst possible perspective. There was also the inescapable business of it being he who had attacked Mr. Weasley in the first place. And it's like,
determined to blame himself.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then you can see he's like having this battle of like logic versus like, is like he's trying to logic himself out of it. He's like, no, you don't have fangs. Like you were lying in bed. You weren't attacking anyone. It's like, oh, right. But true. But what happened when Dumbledore's office, right? You were going to do it then.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he can't really escape his like that one moment of eye contact is like upended his rational like escape.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. But then there's a burst of fire midair, illuminated in the dirty plates in front of them. They all gave cries of shock as a scroll of parchment fell with a thud onto the table. And so this is going to be Fawkes basically sending a message, and it's not from Dumbledore's writing. Instead, it's going to be from Molly. And I do like the fact that Sirius is the one who picks it up and then immediately thrusts the letter into George's hand, which I think is the right call. Like, let them be the one who read it.
Right. Yes, there you go. Dad's still alive. I'm sending up for St. Mungo's now. Stay where you are. I will send you news as soon as I can. Mum.
Yeah. George looked around the table. Still alive. But that makes it sound. And he did not need to finish the sentence. It basically means that Mr. Weasley is hovering somewhere between life and death.
I mean, aren't we all kind of, in some way, shape, or form? You know what I mean?
That's one way. Yeah. Way to bring up the reality of our mortality.
Right. Exactly. Just remember, you started dying the moment you were born. All right. Yeah. The clocks began ticking. Okay, people?
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Enjoy that existential dread for the rest of your day.
Memento mori, as they say.
As they say. Fred pulled the parchment out of George's hand, read it for himself, and looked up at Harry, who felt his hand shaking on his butterbeer bottle again and clutched it more tightly to stop the trembling.
Yeah, they mostly sat in silence, watching the candle wicks. So what's happening here is that the writing is forcing you to sit in the moment with them. Like you could very easily just skip ahead and not describe every single passing minute of the night, but it does, so that you have to feel it too.
Right. Yes. We're going to get continuous descriptions for a couple of pages of like what's going on. Fred fell into a doze. Ginny was curled up like a cat, but her eyes were open. Ron was sitting with his head in his hands. And Sirius looked at each other every so often, intruders upon the family's grief, waiting.
Hardly, Harry, you are considered family. My goodness.
Right. Yes.
Get it through your thick skull.
Right. Yep. And then at 10 past 5 in the morning, by Ron's watch, the door swung open. And
by Ron's watch, who knows if that was right?
Right. Yeah. Mrs. Weasley entered the kitchen. She was extremely pale, but when they all turned to look at her, Fred, Ron, and Harry, half raising from their chairs, she gave a wan smile. A what?
A wan smile.
A wan smile.
A wan smile. Wan smile.
W-A-N smile. Yes. He's going to be all right, she said, her voice still weak, but with tiredness. He's sleeping. We can all go see him later. Bill's sitting with him now. He's going to take the morning off of work.
There you go. So finally, some good news. Everyone can finally relax. And Sirius is like, all right, let's have some breakfast. I'm making pancakes, Creature. But Creature did not answer the summons. So this sentence is just like slipped in there. You are meant to just like skate past this, but it is a huge deal that Creature does not answer the summons. It's very odd. He should not be allowed to not answer the summons.
Right. And so this is basically like the out declared by Sirius has given Creature a loophole in his command system to allow him to not return.
Exactly.
Yes. And so basically Sirius is going to say, oh, forget it. Let's see. Breakfast for 7. Bacon and eggs, I think. And some tea and toast.
Tea and toast.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So I don't know why, but I think there's just something like oddly delightful about like Sirius cooking food.
I know, right? Like down there, like I'm making eggs.
Like there's a piece of me that feels like it's like I feel like Sirius isn't good at it, but like the gesture is so sweet.
Right.
Like I imagine Sirius is not great at making breakfast.
Right.
Is my thought.
Right. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he could be. He could be.
I mean, I guess he's just he would have had a house elf or been at Hogwarts for such a period of time.
But he stays with the Potters for a while.
That's true.
I feel like maybe while he's there, he's like, I'll make breakfast.
That's my thing. My jam.
Like I know I'm staying here rent free, and thank you for taking me in.
Right.
I'm down here cooking breakfast for the Potters because I'm a good adopted son or something.
Yeah, a good house guest.
You know how I'm like the dog, right? Yeah. I'm like the Potter's dog.
Oh, that's good.
Making you breakfast.
That's good. Yep.
And then Mrs. Weasley comes in and she just pulls Harry in for a giant hug. I don't know what would happen if it hadn't been for you, Harry. That was a terrible Mrs. Weasley voice, by the way.
That's okay. Yep. They might not have found Arthur for hours, and then it would have been too late. But thanks to you, he was alive, and Dumbledore's been able to think of a good cover story for Arthur being where he was.
Yeah. And just smooth that over right there. What on earth could the cover story be for like, oh yeah, of course, I was just down at the Department of Mysteries at 3 a.m. For reasons that made sense. You know,
I got lost. This place is so big. I went down the stairs at the crag.
You know where I work, there's no paintings and there's barely any windows. And I was like, this must be the way to my office. Just staying late. Working hard, working hard or hardly working.
That was an Onward reference.
Next thing you know, giant snake attack.
What happened? Oh no.
Yeah, the ministry's not like, why is there a snake?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so then we get kind of like a little bit of like a sweet sentiment here because, obviously Molly and Sirius are not always on exactly the same page, but they're extremely grateful for each other at this very moment. Molly says that directly, and she basically says like, because we're closer to St. Mungos, maybe we can stay here until Christmas, to which Sirius is sort of like, the more the merrier.
Right.
With such obvious sincerity that Miss Weasley beamed at him. Because this is Sirius being like, oh my gosh, company. And I get to have company. Harry here for the holidays.
Right. I'm sorry you were attacked, but maybe not that sorry,
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Best news I've heard all season.
Right.
Let's see. And then he says, I'm sure he would have told you if there was anything to worry about. Oh, I like that. So like Harry pulls Sirius aside and he's like, can I just like talk to you for a second? Because I think I'm going mad. But back in Dumbledore's office, just before I took the portkey, for a couple of seconds there, I thought it was a snake. I felt like one. My scar really hurt when I was looking at Dumbledore. Sirius, I wanted to attack him. And it's like, this is such a rare opportunity for Harry to get like one-on-one personal alone time with the father figure and like ask him vulnerable questions. You never see that.
You never see it, but I do, and I think that Sirius is going to be like a little touch and go with like his response here because he's going to say it must have been the aftermath of the vision. That's all, which I think is like a little patronizing because like it's like, okay, it's serious. Like clearly weird stuff is the foot. Like I pictured Arthur being attacked and he was attacked and now he's like in critical condition. And then I had this like vision of like attacking like Dumbledore and like that didn't seem like a very good thing. And so you just telling me like to brush it off, like not going to work.
Right.
And Harry immediately like, so Sirius is going to say, you were still thinking of the dream or whatever. And Harry's like, it wasn't that. It was like something rose up inside me. Like there was a snake inside me. And then Sirius is like, you need sleep. You're going to have breakfast and go upstairs to bed. And then you can go and see Arthur. And then he does follow up. You're in shock, Harry. You're blaming yourself for something you only witnessed. And it's lucky you did witness it. Arthur might have died. Just stop worrying.
Yeah.
So it's good up until the just stop worrying, because if you ever tell somebody who's worrying to stop worrying, it's like, I would if I could.
Right.
Like,
you're right. If he didn't say that, it would have been fairly good. Because like at that point, maybe he's speaking from experience. It's like, you're in shock here. You're blaming yourself for something you only witnessed. And it's like, that's exactly what Sirius did with Peter, Like,
yes.
He's like, he blames himself for James and Lily's death and like, and like, I guess the death of all the people on the street, but it's like, that's Peter who did all that,
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's like, I mean, even Sirius is sort of like, it's like, you said you killed my parents. It's like, I may as well have.
Yeah.
It's like, Sirius?
Could you phrase it any better?
Like, yeah. So you're right. Like, this is a situation. It almost reminds me of like Harry seeing things and like Ginny getting like irritated with him being like, oh yes, because I wouldn't know what it was like. And it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. You've actually been there before.
He actually said, I forgot.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So this seems like a moment where it should almost be like more like, we've both been in this situation.
Right.
We're both blaming ourselves for the death of other people caused by dark wizards and not us.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And no one's even dead yet, right?
Right. Yeah. But then it says he clapped Harry on the shoulder and left the pantry, leaving Harry standing alone in the dark, which is a very metaphor, Harry, like heavy sentence.
Right. Yeah. Harry standing alone in the dark.
In the dark. Yeah. Yep. Which is exactly how Harry's going to feel for the next couple of chapters at least.
Yeah. Then he goes upstairs and he's like determined not to fall asleep because he thinks he's going to turn into the snake again. It says, determined not to fall into a doze, terrified he might become the serpent again in his sleep, and awake to find that he had attacked Ron or slithered through the house after one of the others, and I'm asleep.
Right, yes. Yeah. But it does say, Harry sat fully clothed, hunched against the cold metal bars of the bedstead, keeping himself deliberately uncomfortable. This is almost like the cold metal bars, I think, is, again, like a little metaphorical like reference to like the prison Harry is now trapped in within his own mind.
Absolutely. That's exactly the imagery that's going on there.
Right.
Yes. So And then when he wakes up and it's time to go visit Mr. Weasley, everyone else is riotously happy and talkative as they change out of their robes and into their jeans and sweatshirts. Got to get all muggle ready here, you know.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. As they're walking with Mad Eye and Tonks, it says that Tonks was very interested in Harry's vision of the attack of Mr. Weasley, something that he was not remotely interested in discussing. And so she's going to ask, "There isn't any seer blood in your family, is there?" She inquired curiously. "No," said Harry, thinking of Professor Trelawney and feeling slightly insulted. No, said Tonks musingly. "No, I suppose it's not really prophecy you're doing, is it? I mean, you're not seeing the future, you're seeing the present. It's odd, isn't it? Useful, though."
Yeah, I mean, he does use it quite usefully in the future in Deathly Hallows.
True.
Yeah, to great effect, but at the moment, it's not feeling so useful, just like something's wrong with him.
Right, yes. And I think that's also, again, kind of part of that growth we were mentioning earlier, where it's like, as Harry slowly gets nearer, it's almost like, I can't ignore these scary things I'm seeing. Like, they are intel, and that intel is useful, and I can't be afraid of it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a frustrating sentence here when they're like, Mad Eye's explaining where the hospital is, and he's like, "Wasn't easy to find a good location for a hospital. Nowhere in Diagon Alley was big enough, and we couldn't have it underground like the Ministry. Unhealthy." Which I'm like, unhealthy? What do you mean? Like, unhealthy, but it's healthy enough to work in all day, every day if you work at the Ministry?
Right.
And it's like unhealthy, but then when we get there, you're going to describe the hall that Mr. Weasley's in as dingy? like are we what?
It does seem odd. I do have a little micro theory here, though, because it says, like, in the end, they managed to get hold of a building up here. And it's basically what we're going to end up with is this like old, like department store called Purge and Douse. Yeah, which is another little piece of trivia, which the way that I wrote down to remember that is like you're purging the ailment and then you're like dousing it clean.
Yeah, dousing it clean. Or you can almost pronounce it like purge and dose. So purge like, and then, dose it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. But the fact that it says, in the end, they managed to get a hold of the building up here. So what they have purchased is a Muggle department store, which I think is kind of interesting because we also know the way that Lucius gets tickets to the top box in the Quidditch World Cup is by making a large donation to St. Mungos. And in Goblet of Fire, we also know that there is reference to that the Riddle House was purchased by a like wealthy man who used it for like tax reasons and like big air quotes.
Right.
So, and then if you read into like the Malfoy family history, you know that as pure blood mania as they are in the present, they actually were quite intermingled with Muggles dating back like through their history because they like to be a part of like high society and stuff. So it makes me think the Malfoys probably actually have a significant store of Muggle wealth and that possibly Lucius or the Malfoy family is responsible for the purchase of this department store that is where the hospital is located.
Okay, so you think the hospital is like fairly new then?
Well, it's going to say that there are signs and dusty doors that read closed for refurbishment and that it looks like the clothes are like 10 years out of fashion. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, to me, what that reads as is that this was a Muggle department store about 10 years ago.
Right.
Which means that St. Mungos may have just been moved to this location in recent history.
Okay.
And then nothing has been done to it since then.
I mean, yes. Yeah.
So I think that like even if St. Mungos existed somewhere else, which we know it had to be because Dilys Derwent was a healer there from 1722 to 1741. So it's like, obviously St. Mungos has been an establishment for much longer, but maybe
just moved here. And the fact that Moody says it wasn't easy to find a place, it sounds like he was involved in the finding of the location.
Also that.
Yeah.
Also that, yes.
So there's that. Other fun fact about it is that apparently in London on Oxford Street in the year 2000 to 2002, when this book was being born, there was a large empty department store, the CNA, which might have been the inspiration for St. Mungos.
How about that?
Or for the appearance of Purge and Dowse.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
D&D.
I tried to look up Purge and Dowse as well, just to see if this was like a real department store somewhere. And the name should have given it away that it isn't.
Right.
But it's not, in case you're curious.
Right.
Yeah. But then somebody walks by with plastic shopping bags saying to their friend as they passed, "It's never open, that place." And it's like, never open. It clearly is not like, it's not in operation.
I know. It's clearly not apparently for a decade even.
Right. Yeah. It's not that it's never open. It's fully closed.
Right.
Is what it is. Yeah. Or clothed.
Hello then.
You see what I did there? It's a little pun action. Because of the department store. Let's see here. But yeah, there's also a model wearing a green nylon pinafore dress, which is an additional piece of trivia that I believe we have been asked before, and I don't know what a pinafore is.
A green nylon pinafore dress. All right. Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so Tonks is going to lean up very close to the glass and speak to the very ugly dummy and say, "Watcher, we're here to see Arthur Weasley." And it seems as though to Harry's shock, the mouth of the dummy opened and gave a tiny nod, beckoning a jointed finger, and Tonks had seized Ginny and Mrs. Weasley by the elbows, stepped right through the glass and vanished. So very platform 9 3/4 coded.
Extremely platform 9 3/4. I love how I hate how it says to Harry thought how absurd it was. It's like, so Harry just sort of forgot he was a wizard there for a second.
Yeah. Like maybe just being out in the Muggle world, it's like, wait, something weird's happening.
Wait, what's going on here? Yeah. But yeah, otherwise very platform 9 3/4. Just walk through it while Muggles are there, and hopefully no one notices, right?
Right. Yes, indeed.
Yep. For the windows, but you go inside, the windows displays as ugly Purge and Douse have just disappeared entirely. And now they get up to apparently something's never changed though. And the welcome desk for the hospital is just as it's like a stereotypical hospital welcome desk in any sitcom you've ever watched.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It's like there are people in rickety wooden chairs perusing out-of-date copies of Witch Weekly.
Out-of-date copies of Witch Weekly. It also says that the healers are wearing lime green robes, which has got to be it just stands out to me because it's the same color as Fudge's hat.
You're right. You're like the lime green
bowler hat.
Like you would almost think that would then suggest that like Fudge had some history as being a St. Mungo's healer once upon a time. And that's like an homage.
Right. Like, could it be that? Or the Fountain of Magical Brethren donates to St. Mungo's, and he's would he be the one in charge of deciding where that money goes? Because he's the minister and it's at the Ministry of Magic?
I suppose that is possible. There's also sort of that weird reality that's there are Harry throws in the only galleons in the pool or whatever. So even what we're about to see is some of the description. It's you can kind of see that the money's not getting that far.
Yeah, right. My thoughts are, here's what I think is that because we know that Fudge is married, so I wonder if his wife was a healer.
Oh,
and the hat is a little nod to her.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Yeah. Although we don't know Mrs. Fudge almost at all.
Almost at all.
Yeah. I think we only know her through the sentence of the raving Barty Crouch Sr. saying, "Mr. and Mrs. Fudge are coming over for dinner," or whatever.
Yes. Whatever the evening's plans happen to be on that particular day. You're right. But no, I mean, the fact that they've got lime green robes, because I remember this being a trivia question we were asked once upon a time. It's what color are the healers' robes at St. Mungo's? And it was sort of are you I don't know, blue? You know, and it's lime. It's lime wasn't even in my top 10 guesses. So it always feels like a wildly out of place color choice.
Do you suppose? I wonder if lime green is a color that is interpreted differently versus American versus British. Because to me, lime green is highlighter green.
You're exactly right.
But the actual color of a lime is more just regular green.
You could probably even it's not that far of a stretch between lime being similar to emerald, depending on the color of lime that you have.
Right.
A stereotypical lime from Margaritaville or key lime or whatever is that vibrant green.
Yeah.
Whereas more of a understated lime. Yeah, that's a good point, because I even Fudge's hat I always find to be ridiculous.
I know it's a bit ridiculous, but I wonder if it's more of just a green hat.
Right. Okay. So that would be a question for British listeners, is whether or not what do you perceive as lime or
green,
or how is it delivered in Britain?
Right.
Because that's a very, very good point. This might be more of an understated green robe, but decidedly not Slytherin green at the same rate.
Right. But maybe it is just bright neon lime green.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yep. And then we also see that there is an emblem embroidered on their chest, which is a wand and bone crossed, which I very much love. That's a super cool logo.
Yes.
And then Harry's going to ask, are they doctors? To Ron, and Ron's going to be like, doctors? Those muggle nutters that cut people up? Nah, they're healers.
It's funny that Ron says this because later on, Mr. Weasley is going to try and make use of muggle technology to heal his wounds.
That's exactly right.
It sounds as though you've been trying to sew yourself back together.
What do you mean? That's the general idea.
Mr. Weasley.
Oh, man. Yep. Then we get just a whole bunch of world building for the interior. We get the all too clever line: a clean cauldron keeps potions from becoming poisons, and antidotes are antidotes unless approved by a qualified healer.
Oh yeah, you can just imagine like the kind of signs you see in any hospital.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And then you do get to see the large portrait of Dilys Derwent, who is almost certainly watching over this scene in particular, so that she can then report back to Dumbledore in the headmaster's office.
She even gives Harry a tiny wink.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yep. And let's see. Then we get a couple of looks around the room, which if you've ever been to an emergency room, waiting room before, it is kind of similar to this, where you're just going to witness some unusual things. Not as unusual as a wizarding hospital where you've got a man who has shoes that are attempting to like eat his feet. He's doing some type of like jig of pain. I think you've got somebody who's got like an elephant trunk sticking out of their face. There's a grubby looking warlock in the corner who clanged like a bell every time he moved. So kind of a just generally unsettling environment.
Yeah, just sort of that. Also, at the woman at the desk has just no tolerance for the guy with the shoes biting his feet. He says, they're eating my feet. Look at them. Must be some kind of a jinx on them. I can't. And she's like, you want spell damage, 4th floor. And I'm like, I'm not sure spell damage is correct. This sounds honestly more like artifact accidents. Or it seems like it's misuse of muggle artifacts. It seems like a job for Arthur specifically.
It almost does. It's sort of like, in fact, we have a patient that we can send you to. But no, I agree with you. But this is, again, I suspect even in the real world, if you're like the, attendant at a emergency room desk, you see it all. I mean, there's some really, really bizarre stuff. Just a short anecdote. We brought Addison once because she fell and got like a little piece of gravel stuck in her forehead. And I felt like we were far and away the least urgent situation in that room. It's like we walked up and like, she's got this like little like blob of, congealed blood on her forehead. And we're sort of like, yeah, she fell and hit her head. And she was like, yeah.
It might be a hot minute for you there, Sonny.
This might not be the most urgent thing in the room, but, we'll call you when we're ready.
We sure will. Then we get all the different floors here. We got artifact accidents, which is going to be on the ground floor, which is where I feel like Shoeman should go.
Right.
We got creature-induced injuries on the first floor, which I was trying so hard to come up with ways to remember these, and I don't really have a good way.
I know. I like magical bugs because it's not real bugs. It's more like when you have like a bug. Contagious maladies.
Exactly.
Dragonpox, vanishing sickness. But whatever vanishing sickness is that a disapparation ailment?
Vanishing sickness. I guess so. Like, yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
Yeah. And scrofungulus.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds terrible.
It sure does.
Then we have potion and plant poisoning on the 3rd floor, spell damage on the 4th floor, and the visitors' tea room and hospital shop on the 5th floor.
Which is an interesting location to me. In America, anyway, the hospital shop is on the ground floor, so you got to walk past it no matter what.
That's right. Yeah.
When you walk in, you want to be like, I'm going to visit somebody. Ooh, good. There's stuff I can get them. Boom. Spend money.
Should get them flowers, balloon, stuffed animal.
Yeah. This is like, maybe it's not like a gift shop or anything, but it does seem, that's what I'm interpreting it as.
There you go.
And it seems like you got to go out of your way to go visit the gift shop here at St. Mungos.
That's right. Yep. Let's see here. Then we have a very old stooped wizard with a hearing trumpet who had shuffled to the front of the queue. I'm here to see Broderick Bode, he wheezed.
Yeah, this is a Death Eater.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Walden McNair, actually.
Oh, is that right?
That is right, yes.
So we know the identity.
We know the identity. This guy sent me down like a little bit of a rabbit hole as I was reading this. I was like, the hearing trumpet, because I was like, hey, now wait a minute, doesn't someone else have a hearing trumpet in like the Hogwarts office? And of course that's Dexter Fortescue who has the hearing trumpet there.
The corpulent red-nosed.
Yeah, the corpulent red-nosed wizard. And I'm like, could this guy be like a descendant of, could there be a Death Eater that's connected to the Fortescues or something, or something like that? I don't know. Or could he be like I came across like a whole article about like people trying to figure out what like the potential Ravenclaw Horcrux could be, and people were speculating on the ear trumpet because Dexter Fortescue's like portrait is mentioned 4 times, but then never comes up again.
Okay.
It's like, it's just always there. So it was sort of like, it's bringing a lot of attention to this one character right there. Right. And then I was like, now wait a minute. I wonder if is it possible that at this point, like the Death Eaters have already taken Florian Fortescue, because we know they're going to do that in the next book.
Oh,
like, could this literally be like the ear trumpet from the portrait, you know?
Oh my goodness.
That like, yeah, Florian Fortescue had. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe it could have been the Ravenclaw thing, because like you're trying to think about like it, or like when you go to the Love Goods, it's like he's trying to recreate the diadem of Ravenclaw, and it also has ear trumpets on it.
Oh my
and you're
gosh.
like, wow, you're like, man, what were the Fortescues like Ravenclaw descendants or something, you know? But that's all just complete conjecture, because obviously the ear trumpet has no important things. This is just McNair in disguise, and Florian Fortescue hasn't been kidnapped yet. So anyway, that all went nowhere, but
well, it's very interesting nonetheless. I'm glad that you got to go on a little side quest there.
Yes.
But we do discover that Broderick Bode is being stored in Ward 49, and the Welcome Witch is going to say, I'm afraid you're wasting your time. He's completely addled, you know, still thinks he's a teapot, which I think is a little piece of trivia there as well.
Yeah. Well, what does Broderick Bode think he is?
A teapot.
Yes. And Broderick Bode, in case you forgot, was Imperious earlier in the book. He is in Unspeakable at the Department of Mysteries, and they tried to get him to lift the prophecy, and it addled his brain.
Exactly right.
There you go.
Yep. Let's see here. So then we are going to get Molly up to the front desk, who's going to say, hello, my husband, Arthur Weasley, was supposed to be moved to a different ward this morning. Could you tell us? Arthur Weasley, said the witch, running her finger down a long list in front of her. Yes, first floor, second door on the right. The Di Llewellyn ward. The Di Llewellyn ward, to which I was like, boy, Di Llewellyn and Dilys Derwent have always been interchangeable completely in my mind. Oh,
because like the D and it's like the L's and stuff.
Right.
So here's how I'm remembering Di Llewellyn. It's Di Llewellyn.
Die, as in Di Llewellyn.
Right, and the Di Llewellyn board is where you get serious bites. So here's what I think. Llewellyn died from a serious bite.
Oh,
Llewellyn.
Okay.
It's going to be how I remember this word. Llewellyn died from a serious bite. That said, Di Llewellyn is not a female at all. It is he was a famous Quidditch player.
Oh, well, howdy.
Indeed. Let me tell you everything I learned about Di Llewellyn.
Oh,
Ben.
please do.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I'm going to. I got to pull up my notes here so I can try and remember it all here. So the Severe Bites ward is named after him because he, Di Llewellyn, was eaten by a chimera.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty severe bite.
Okay, that would do it.
That'll do it. Yes.
Not just bit, eaten.
Yes. But prior to that, he was the Caerphilly Catapult's most famous Quidditch player, known for extremely reckless and foolhardy style of play. He had a biography written about him called He Flew Like a Madman. It was written by Kennelworthy Whisp. And each year, the Dangerous Die commemorative medal is awarded each season in his honor to the most reckless Quidditch player of the year. So there you go.
Wow. So he's really got quite the legacy.
He does. And a lot of that came from Quidditch Through the Ages.
Okay. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, the Di Llewellyn ward.
The Di Llewellyn ward. Eaten by a chimera.
So for a otherwise one throwaway major trivia thing, there's actually a bit of a backstory.
Yes. Yes, there is.
Then continuing with the trivia, we get further information, which is going to say that the healers in charge on Mr. Weasley's ward are going to be Hippocrates Smethwick, and the trainee healer is going to be Augustus Pye.
Right. And I don't know about Augustus Pye, but Hippocrates is clearly a nod to the Hippocratic Oath, which all doctors have to take, which is that they will do no harm.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And so this is one where if you ask me at any point in time, like the healer in charge versus like the trainee healer, I would say healer Smethwick for both.
Yes, I know.
Because I can remember that one, and I don't know why I can and can't remember Augustus Pye, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so then you get this like really kind of like lovely moment, which comes up quite often in Order of the Phoenix. But Tonks is going to say, "We'll wait outside, Molly. It ought to just be family first." And so Harry's going to draw back with Mad Eye and Tonks, but Mrs. Weasley is going to reach out a hand and push him through the door, saying, "Don't be silly, Harry. Arthur wants to thank you."
Yeah, it's just like we said, family first. That means you too, Harry. Get in here.
Exactly.
Don't be stupid. stupid.
Yes, precisely. You saw my boggart. You were included.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
You get to go in. Right.
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, young man?
Right. Yeah.
And then, as ever, the ward was small and dingy. Their only window was narrow and set high in the wall. It's almost like he's being treated in his office.
It really is like
Except that this has a window.
True. It also says the walls were of paneled oak, which reminds me of the basement that you and I started Super Carlin Brothers in, where we both painted different corners of the basement different colors so that people didn't know we were in the same room.
Right.
But if you looked out, it was just the dingiest, saddest little basement ever. Yep. And there was like this like vent that hung down in the middle that we would smack our head on all the time. It's like you'd be like walk through, you'd be like pacing back and forth, thinking about your script or whatever, and you like ram your head into it, and it would just be like you'd like sit on the floor and just be like cursing the heavens, like, come on.
Yes. Eventually that went away.
It did eventually go away. Yes, that's true. Our landlady did eventually get rid of it.
Did get rid of it, but that was shortly before we moved out of there. So we only got to enjoy that for a short period of time.
That's right.
We also get there is just the worst portrait in the building in this hall. Of a rather vicious-looking wizard captioned Urquhart Rackharrow, inventor of the entrail expelling curse, which is basically the make you poop curse. Great. Urquhart Rackharrow. Rackharrow basically rack means brings to mind like a torture rack or something.
Oh, okay.
And then harrow means to torture. So it doesn't seem like he was a great guy, and yet there is a portrait of him because I guess this was a useful spell, even though it's a curse. Whatever.
Sounds like a good party guest.
I know.
Like, so what do you do? It's like, I'd rather not say.
Urquhart Rackharrow here.
That's
right. Just sounds like a Death Eater.
Yeah.
And the severe looking guy is just like, oh, welcome to the hospital. I'm Urquhart Rackharrow. What's wrong with you?
I know just what to do with you.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Anyway.
There we go. Yep. All those people who were just peacefully sleeping, listening to our voices in the distance were like, oh, man.
Man, why'd you have to mention entrail expelling?
But then Arthur's going to call, hello, setting his prophet aside. Bill just left Molly. Had to get back to work. But he says, oh, wait, no. But he says he'll drop in on you later. Okay, sorry.
There you go.
I was thinking Bill was coming back to visit Arthur again, but instead he'll drop in on number 12.
Right. And, he says he feels absolutely fine. If they can only take these bandages off me, I'd be fit to go home. And they're like, well, why can't they? And then Fred asks, why they can't. And he's like, well, I stop bleeding like mad every time. But it's like, no big deal. And this is where it says, look, reaching for his wand, which lay in his bedside cabinet, and waving it so that 6 extra chairs appeared at his bedside to seat them all. What do they look like?
We need to know something about these chairs.
Or no.
It's like, of all the burning questions that we, the fan base, have about the series, I think we need to raise this one right up to the top.
What do Arthur's conjured chairs look like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the fact that he conjured 6, does it take away anything from any of them? Or like, can he like replicate the same chair?
I feel like it's the same chair over and over.
I think probably.
But I feel like the fact that he's injured, laying in a hospital bed, and it's just like, whoop, 6 chairs. That feels like that's impressive magic.
It is. I mean, Arthur's good at magic. We know that much.
We do know that much. Yeah. And he's like, sure, they'll find an antidote. They say they've had much worse cases than mine. I find that hard to believe.
I know.
And in the meantime, I just have to keep taking a blood replenishing potion, which to me feels like you're drinking blood, which sounds terrible. I don't know. I can't believe he's not more in the mood for like a blood, like a blood transfusion, Muggle style,
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. That's another little piece of trivia though. And he has to take this every hour.
Yeah.
We also get reference to the fact that the poison in the snake's fangs is the kind that keeps wounds open, which is exactly what Harry feared Hagrid was going to show them in their, what is
for whatever he thinks whatever's hurting Hagrid.
Oh yes, care of magical creatures. Thank you. Yes. Not what Hagrid was going to teach. What Hagrid was up against.
Yeah,
was potentially that type of thing. So here it is, showing up just one chapter later, and then Arthur's going to gesture over to a man in the room, and I feel like this whole scene sort of demonstrates to me that like Arthur has no intention of being an upset individual under any circumstances.
Yeah, I agree. But this is also like he has a little like, oh, Muggles, bless them kind of moment right here as well.
He does indeed. He does indeed. Yeah.
It's like that poor chap over there, bitten by a werewolf, no cure at all. And Mrs. Weasley's like, a werewolf? Is this safe? Shouldn't it be in a private room? And it's like, you guys know a werewolf, right? Like,
well, I mean, and that is about what's about to come up. But I do think Molly has, any amount of like mild prejudice maybe like kind of bleeding through in this particular situation, despite the fact that we know Molly to be a very loving individual.
Yes.
A little slip of the old tongue tongue there. But and Arthur's going to remind her quietly that it's 2 weeks till the full moon. And let's see here. So Arthur is going to try to comfort this person and say that he knew a werewolf personally, very nice man, and it finds the condition quite easy to manage. And I was like, is that what Lupin would say?
Yeah, I said, like, I don't think he'd agree with you on that.
But this could even be like Arthur looking at Lupin and be like, he manages just fine.
Yeah. Lupin's like, it is the literal definition of my life and I hate myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. It prevents me from settling down with anybody or having a family or getting a job or doing anything at all.
Having friends. I'm not even worth being alive.
Yeah. So quite easy to manage might be a bit of a stretch. But then George asked, what did he say? And then said he'd give me another bite if I didn't shut up, said Mr. Weasley.
Sounds about right.
Right, yeah. So then he gestures to another woman over there who won't tell the healers what bit her, which makes us think it must have been something she was handling illegal.
Yeah, what were you doing, Arthur?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Arthur also being a little dodgy about this. Yeah. Oh, got bit by a snake. Where? Can't tell you. What kind of snake?
I could say.
Also can't tell you.
Wouldn't know. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so then Fred's gonna pull up a chair and say, so are you gonna tell us what happened, Dad? And Mr. Weasley's like, well, I think you already know. It's very simple. Had a very long day, dozed off, got cut on, and bitten.
Yeah, kind of smoothing over all the rough parts there.
That's exactly right. Yep. But so Arthur is going to keep trying to avoid or sidestep this, which I think is very like dad-like, where he's so excited to see his family and so grateful that they're there and wants to answer their questions, but they just keep coming back to the thing he can't answer, and he's sort of like, anyway, that's my business.
Yeah, I said like to ask, was it in the prophet? And he's like, oh no, of course not. Ministry wouldn't want everyone to know a great dirty serpent got me.
Right.
Which I'm like, I think he was gonna say got into the Department of Mysteries, or
yeah, it feels like that's what was gonna happen next.
Yeah.
But then he changes the subject rather abruptly, saying that he was just reading about Willie Wittershins, which is something that we've been talking about all
the whole book.
Yeah. Willie turned out to be behind those regurgitating toilets last summer.
Mm-hmm.
One of his jinxes backfired. The toilet exploded, and they found him lying unconscious in the wreckage, covered from head to foot in
entrails.
Yeah. Yes. Expulsion, at least.
Yeah.
Poop.
That's what I wrote on my page in case you get this one.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great one.
And then he says, and then Fred, of course, comes in. When you say you were on duty.
I see what he did there.
Yeah.
It's a poop joke.
It sure is.
They're all over the place in this one.
Yeah.
You heard your father. Go on about Willie Wittershins, Arthur. Well, don't ask me how, but he got off of the toilet charge, said Mr. Weasley grimly. I can only suppose gold changed hands.
Oh, no. Ask us how.
We know how. We know how.
It was Umbridge.
Yes, it was Umbridge. Yes. He had intel about about Dumbledore's army because he was in the Hogshead.
Exactly. But how did he know to go to Umbridge? Mundungus.
Yes, you've grown very sus of Mundungus, haven't you?
I've gone sus. Susdungus.
Susdungus.
So he's got kind of some poop in his name there.
Speaking of dung.
Dung.
Yeah. It's just like, it's swirling around, isn't it?
It sure is.
Somebody call the Durmstrang ship. Sorry. It was a bit of a reach, but I had to go for it. It's a little old callback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, it seems like even though he got off the toilet charge, this time Willie's been caught selling biting doorknobs to muggles. And I don't think he'll be able to worm his way out of this one, because according to this article, 2 muggles have lost their fingers and are now in St. Mungo's for emergency bone regrowth. And he's like, just think of it. Muggles in St. Mungo's. I wonder which ward they're in. And I'm like, dude, this must come up in your exact line of work all the time. Yeah, it's true.
What
do you mean, think of it, muggles in St. Mungo's? Don't you personally deliver muggles here? You must.
If not you, then who?
Then you're telling people to send muggles. What? Yeah.
Yeah. It is very adorable, though, that he's just sort of like, I wonder which ward they're in.
Yeah.
Because I can just imagine him like looking around at the walls being like, maybe one will materialize now and I can ask them questions.
Right. Maybe if they got bit by a doorknob, that sounds like a bite, maybe they're here.
That's exactly it. Yep. Yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah, and then Fred keeps trying to bring it back. So didn't you say who's got a snake, Harry? It's like, a massive one. You saw it on the night he returned, didn't you? And it's like, yeah, it feels like this is the kind of thing you could have asked back in number 12 Grimmauld Place when you guys were just sitting there not talking for 5 hours.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it feels like that may have come up then. But anyway, then they're asked to leave the room and trooped back out. And let me try that again. Then they're asked to leave the room and they troop back out into the corridor where Mad Eye and Tonks went in. Fred raised his eyebrows and it's like, fine, be like that. And then George is sort of like, looking for these. And Fred's like, you read my mind. Let's see if St. Mungos puts imperturbable charges on the ward door, shall we? They don't.
They don't seem high on privacy like a Muggle hospital would be.
Right.
They are just sort of like, Mr. Weasley knows the story of literally every other patient on the ward.
Right.
And they're all gossiping about what that one woman did.
That's it. Yep.
And like, even he's like, I'm here to see Broderick Bode. And they're like, well, I don't know why. He still thinks it's a teapot. And it's like, I feel like you shouldn't give out patient information like that. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I feel like there's supposed to be like restrictions against that.
Yeah.
I think maybe you could tell them where they are.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. But so let's see here. One of the twins is going to insist that Harry take one end of the extendable ear because if anyone's got the right to eavesdrop on Arthur, it's him.
Yeah.
To which I was like, well, that's logic of a sort.
Right. Yeah.
But Harry grins in spite of himself and took the end of the string and inserted it into his ears as the twins had done. Okay, go, Fred whispered, which I guess is like, it's like, does he command the ears to
I guess so. Like the little, like inchworms going across the ground under the door.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, here's what I think is embarrassing for the Order of the Phoenix here is that they are being spied upon immediately by these kids outside the door. And despite the constant vigilance of one Mad Eye Moody, he has not seen this happen.
No, you would think his eye would be sort of like, hold on, Molly.
This is perfect Moody's eye territory.
It is. Yes, he should be watching the door.
He super should.
Anyway, but he's not.
You know what's even worse? There was a Death Eater in front of them in line.
Also, that got completely missed.
Completely missed.
It was the wheeziness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ear trumpet.
Yeah, that's it. Let's see here. So, then we can hear Tonks whispering. They searched the whole area, but they couldn't find the snake anywhere. It just seems to have vanished after it attacked you, Arthur. But you know who can't have expected a snake to get in, can he? I reckon he sent it as a lookout, growled Moody, because he's not had any luck so far, has he? No, I reckon he's trying to get a clearer picture of what he's facing. And if Arthur hadn't been there, then the beast would have had much more time to look around. So Potter says he saw it all happened.
Yes. And then, yeah. You know, Dumbledore seems almost to have been waiting for Harry to see something like this. Yeah, because he knows about the Horcruxes, in essence, divided.
Right. And then you get this line from Moody, which is like, oh, gosh, this would be tough to hear about yourself. Yeah, well, said Moody, there's something funny about the Potter kid. We all know that.
Yeah,
and it's like,
as if they're all feeling that way about him.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's like, oh, gosh. And Dumbledore seemed worried about Harry when I spoke to him this morning, whispered Mrs. Weasley. Of course he's worried, growled Moody. The boy's seen things from inside you-know-who's snake. Obviously, Potter doesn't realize what that means, but if you know who's possessing him.
It's like, why would that be what it means?
Yeah, right. I know. And it's like, oh my gosh, guys, is this the moment? Like Fred and George weren't allowed to like ask anything about anything because of like people potentially overhearing. Now you guys are just having a conversation with other patients in the room.
Other people are there.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Anyway.
But either way, I mean, that's the kind of thing, though, where it's sort of like this means that the highest authority people that we know in the story, members of the Order of the Phoenix itself, are suggesting that you-know-who is possessing Harry, which is not going to help the fire that is already burning inside of Harry's own mind.
Yeah. So they're all looking at him like, oh my God, what?
Right.
Yes. Unfortunately, Ginny doesn't speak up here to give her peace.
Right. Yes. Yeah. About the whole like being possessed by Voldemort thing.
Like, have you been experiencing times where you didn't know where you were? Great. They haven't been possessed. Okay. Right. Because it happened to me.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that will bring us to the end of chapter 22 and looking forward to chapter 23, Christmas on the Closed Ward.
It will, where we get even more St. Mungos fun. Hooray!
That's right. But Jay, before we close out today's episode, do you have a review for us?
I sure do. Today's review comes from Chris WBIV. Sounds like a radio station. You're listening to Chris at WBIV.
Wizard Radio.
Wizard Radio. Very nice. He says, great. Very nice way to wind down at the end of the day. The theory. When was the prophecy fulfilled? Oh, when I said theory, Siri, I thought I said Siri. That's funny.
Yeah.
When was the prophecy fulfilled? If it wasn't Voldemort's own spell that killed him, then he didn't die at the hand of the other. If true, I suppose the prophecy was fulfilled in the forest. So does the prophecy ultimately get fulfilled? Because it says one must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives.
Right.
Right. So is the prophecy fulfilled when Voldemort kills Harry in the forest, or does it actually not get fulfilled because Voldemort sort of like finishes himself off? Or does it get fulfilled in the Great Hall because the wand backfiring is in fact Harry's wand, since he's the master of the Elder Wand, so he does finish him off.
I personally have always read it to be the forest, because I think that like one must die at the hand of the other. It's almost like that's like the big thing that we have to get past. But also Dumbledore is going to go to extraordinary lengths to keep Harry, like he's going to instruct Harry in such a way that would prevent him from ever being the kind of person who would kill. And it's not in Harry's nature to kill. Like, I think that's a key point all the way down to the wire. Because when I was a younger reader, it frustrated me that Harry used Expelliarmus in the final duel with Voldemort, because I was like, it's just like, I wanted him to have like learned a cooler piece of magic or do something more impressive or whatever. But the simplicity of the thing is almost the beauty of the thing.
Right.
In that final battle where Harry all the way down to the very end is unwilling to go for the finishing move, even though he can, even though Horcruxes are gone. Voldemort's right there. He's master of the Elder Wand. He's got everything at his disposal to do it. And he still doesn't like take advantage of those things.
Right.
He still lets Voldemort basically,
defeat himself.
Right. So the die at the hand of the other, I think means like, I mean, there's a lot of symbolism obviously attached to Harry sacrificing himself for the betterment of others. Like that's a huge part of the undertone of the story of the narrative. But I do think that facing death and accepting death is fulfilling the prophecy. But the whole time that you're reading the book, you just have to assume that Harry's going to be the one who kills Voldemort in the end.
Because that's how stories work, right?
Because that's how stories work. The good guy needs to win. And obviously Voldemort is not going to win, but Voldemort will still fulfill that requirement. And once that's fulfilled, I think that is when we get to take a step past the laws, if you want to assign any laws that prophecies govern over the situation, to which Dumbledore would suggest are none, but as far as like the narrative and prophecies and the importance of like all that type of stuff is to the outcome, you need to have one of them kill the other.
Right.
It's just that rare circumstance where Harry gets to come back.
Right. One must die at the hands of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. So, like, Voldemort does, I guess, kill Harry in a sense.
Right.
Like, I was going to say, like, you could almost argue that, because Harry kind of wakes up in the King's Cross limbo space and then comes back. But we always sort of consider him dead. However, I was going to, like, say, like, you almost have to count the forest one, because Voldemort doesn't, like, die the way that everyone else dies. Like, he gets stuck in limbo afterwards. He is not able to move on.
Right. So, I mean, in that capacity, if you want to look at it that way, if you want to say that Harry didn't die, you could also say that Voldemort didn't die. Because they both end up going to virtually or metaphysically the same space.
Right.
Which is that cloudy King's Cross station. At least that's how Harry perceives it.
Harry perceives it. Yeah.
I'm sure Voldemort's seeing something different in that situation, but that's the tragedy of Voldemort's, air quotes death, is that he doesn't formally die the way that, like, he doesn't even get to where ghosts get to.
Right.
Like, where he like takes the door back to the land of the living or whatever.
Right.
It's like he can't go to the land of the dead and he can't go to the land of the living. He's stuck in the waiting room.
Right. And I would count it more as Harry, because it always, to me, it feels like Harry dies and comes back, whereas Voldemort doesn't get to properly die, even though they both end up in the same metaphysical location.
Right.
But like, I would say the difference is what Harry tells Dumbledore. He's like, I meant to die.
Right.
Whereas, that is like the key difference. And Dumbledore even says that, and that made all the difference.
Exactly.
Right. So I think, so to that end, I think it has to be the forest then.
Right.
Is when one dies at the hand of the other.
Right. And even the neither can live while the other survives, I think, like, is also going back to the fact that both Dumbledore and I do this all the time. I don't know why. Voldemort and Harry both have pieces of each other living within themselves, and neither of them is going to succeed in their ventures while they possess a piece of the other.
Right.
So it's like you can't live. Harry is not properly able to live his own life with his own agency until Voldemort is eradicated from within him.
Right.
So it's like, as long as that piece of Voldemort survives inside of Harry, he'll never live.
Right. Exactly. So do you suppose then, though, because like if Harry had attacked Voldemort and like just Avada Kedavra'd him, like, would Voldemort have had a way back? Oh, I guess he still has Nagini. So yes, he would have had the Horcrux holding him back.
Correct.
Right. But let's see. One must die. But would that have then been the key for Voldemort to win the war? Because he would have died at the hand of the other. which like when Harry dies at the hand of Voldemort, he is then able to live.
True.
Right.
Yeah. So it's almost like the victor is the one who will be killed at the hand of the other.
Right. Yeah. Who ultimately like lose or not.
I mean, you could suppose that, but Harry would never Avada Kedavra Voldemort.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I think that goes against, it's in the same way that like Voldemort can't love, Harry won't Avada Kedavra.
Right. You know? Well, and yeah, okay. Then, and let's see. Here's the thing though. I don't even think Harry could Harry Avada Kedavra Voldemort, right? Because Voldemort has Harry's blood inside of him, which means he has the Lily's protection, and Lily's protection protects him from Voldemort killing him, and Harry has a piece of Voldemort in him.
Oh, right.
So I think had Harry tried to Avada Kedavra Voldemort, it would have just backfired.
It would have backfired, but that also probably would have removed the footnote of "I meant to die."
Absolutely.
You know, and
because then he didn't mean to die.
Then he didn't mean to die. So I think if Harry tried to Avada Kedavra Voldemort, it would have killed Harry.
I think you are very correct in that state. And to that end, that's also why at the very end he still just casts Expelliarmus.
Right.
Because it is if Harry casts it, Voldemort still has the blood in him. So if the Lily's protection would protect him.
True.
From an attack. No, it wouldn't, because the soul inside of then it's okay. Never mind. Because now the soul inside of Harry has been destroyed. He's not a Horcrux anymore. So Lily's protection's not protecting him from Voldemort anymore.
Okay. Yes,
that makes sense. It doesn't matter because but Voldemort's spell backfiring isn't stopped either, even though that's Voldemort attacking himself. Right? Which he should be protected from, except that the Elder Wand belongs to Harry. So actually, there you go.
Okay, that's the pathway.
That's our loopholing our way into Voldemort doesn't die, but does.
Right. Yeah, there's such a myriad of things that are all involved with all the complicated magic and ancient things that are protecting both of them, and it's a crisscross applesauce situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode.
It absolutely does. Make sure you join us next week as we continue our Christmas on the Closed Ward, Chapter 23, here on Through the Griffin Door.
Today's episode was edited by Ethan Edghill. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.